you, David. The start of the game here between the Magpies and the Redlegs. The ball will be put down. Great atmosphere here at Norwood Oval as Chalmers gets up over the top for the first tap of the afternoon. In there quickly was Vines. Quick kick forward. Coming out hard as Bond. Quick handball across to Julian Wade. Wade puts the ball inside 50 into the goal square. Back there is Brosnan. Can't quite find a bit of space there from Bassett. But the first score of the afternoon goes to the Maggies.
Just a match up there, Mark. Brett Chalmers and Glenn Sanford. Sanford not normally known as his rucking ability, and he'll have a big task ahead of him today with Chalmers. Port midfield last week in the last half. Terrific.
I think you'll find that fitness will be a problem, fellas, for Sanford. He's played centre-half forward, but he hasn't got the mobility or the fitness all round of Chalmers. It will have a bearing on today's game. We've already mentioned that in the opening. And it's looming as a problem for the Redlegs. Fierce tackling, and Clayton gathers in young Brad Taylor. Only 9 games to his credit. And he kicked 4 goals last week for the Redlegs in trying to overcome South Adelaide. Chalmers thumps this one down. Bassett couldn't get there. Vines on the boundary, and Brown work it out.
Just have a look at a key match-up there as well. Fraser and Brett James. Fraser was terrific for 4 quarters last week, and Brett James, we all know the quality of him.
We saw Port Adelaide last week against North Adelaide really fire up and do some damage. Doreen, as he goes to ground, claimed by Filippo. And umpire Kevin Chambers, puts the ball to ground. Filippo will do the ruck work in Port Adelaide's forward zone, it would appear. McLean gets slung away out of the action. Steed, cleverly done. Fraser turns it around the corner. One-on-one contest. Stan Smith, well, he did everything right, but just didn't quite finish.
Probably had more time than he thought in the end. Probably could have taken the ball by hand and knocked it through, but an excellent disciplined kick there from Fraser, as we see on the left foot. Didn't go for goal, just front and centre there. Went for the top of the square, and unfortunately just couldn't finish off with the goal.
Norwood just all heading to the outer side here of Norwood Oval. The ball's high out towards Sanford. They'll be jumped from behind by Chalmers. Good knock forward. Front of the pack there was Doreen. Norwood do have the numbers here. Cotton just can't pick the football up now. Doreen does. White tackles him. Good work by the Maggies, putting plenty of pressure on the Redlegs. They go forward now. The boys in blue. Comes into centre half forward. Coming out like a steam train. Couldn't quite take it overhead. And the free kick has been found here.
Well, Robert Neal it was, Nails, and you're right, he did. He's signalled his intention, Paisley, hasn't he?
We just attacked the footy. No intention to give the free kick away. He just went straight at it.
It was good to see him back too. We saw a few games so far this year with injury. Good spoil off the boot. Come from Brosnan. In there is Clayton as well. Lockie Bowman over the top of this football. Just brute strength gets him out there. But good tackle by Clayton from behind. Comes down to Filippo. Now one-on-one up forward here. Smith has the upper body strength. The ball's knocked forward. Comes down to 43, which is Archie well up the field. Did surprise me. He normally plays a full back.
He got up there and crumbed that ball just out of the square, didn't he? And Pascoe would want to watch that, because nothing worse than a full forward than seeing your direct opposition having a shot for goal. What, 2 minutes into the first quarter?
Not a bad ploy though, fellas. Archie's pretty mobile, and he's made Pascoe chase him all the way down the ground. Port Adelaide are clearly signalling that they're going to target Norwood's big men, and I think that is the Redlegs' Achilles heel. Bowman flicks it out to Taylor, who drives it towards centre half forward. Good contest, front position bound. He's a chance. He's got Fiegert today, though. That'll be a good matchup. Carter heads towards the boundary line. Neal closes in, and Carter almost takes it to touch, but claimed right on the line by McLean. And what do you reckon? Hazy says it's holding the ball, and the umpire says I'll throw it in.
There's no better player than being able to disguise that than Stephen Carter. He just knows what to do in those circumstances, and knew full well he was going to get away with it.
Down. Just giving Chalmers front position. Nord have a chance here through Cotton on his left leg. On the right side of the body. He's happy about the result. The umpire puts up the 2 fingers. So Redlegs kicking with a slight advantage of the breeze here at Norwood Oval. Kick the first major.
Quality midfielder coming back into the side today, and no doubt that he'll need to do more of that and more creativity if Norwood are going to be a chance. But just got himself in the right position. Another very important player there in Johnny Cunningham, burrowing it out in and under as usual, and Cotton on his preferred foot, being the left, slotted through a relatively easy goal from there.
5 minutes into the first term, Norwood a 1 straight goal, Port Adelaide of 3 points. Good contest, Taylor over the top of it, working hard for the Redlegs. Cunningham couldn't quite take it. Gallagher was slick with the handball. It ricochets out to Taylor again, but Vines for Port Adelaide just flicks it forward into space, and Bond, or was it? No, it was Carr, playing his 50th game today for the Redlegs, fellas. Carr on the left boot has put it out of play on the full.
Camp, Norwood Oval in perfect condition. It's high. Chalmers front sit should take it. Good spoil from behind. Look, I think it was Baum. Just kept the football alive. We're making it down to Michael Parsons with the Norwood bench.
Yes, and you can see the Norwood boys there sitting against the brick wall in Matthew Dawes, Darren Loeffler and Adam Crouch.
Down again, Chalmers. Tackled as he took the footballs. Knocked it free now. Cunningham's in there, should receive. There's a good little pass out. The umpire has paid the advantage. It goes up forward. Archie out front of Pascoe. Play it down the middle of the ground. I think it might be Feagert. We'll keep an eye on him as it comes to Brown. Brown down the line. Over the top there was Clayton. Good knock on. Bowman's back there by himself. Now will be taken on by Filippo. A crunch of the body by the two big forwards. Umpire calls a throw. And Sanford should receive the free kick. It doesn't. The advantage is paid. Young Taylor. Cross to Brown. Brown heads up towards Pascoe up forward. Carter cleans up the loose ball. Carter comes down the grandstand wing. Brown, the captain, will go to the top to Vines. Vines has the running McGuinness in board. Cotton works hard to get to him. Good little shepherd there by McGuinness. Allows the kick from Vines, but the kick wasn't good. And it's out, 15 metres out from the Magpies' goal. As we go down to the Michael Parsons with the Magpies bench.
And you see them all still sitting there. Matthew Ashley, Daniel Morgan and big Damien Brown ready to come on into the ruck.
Daniel Morgan in today to the Port Adelaide lineup. Doreen gets the kick away from defence for the Redlegs. Bound competed strongly. Burgoyne to Carter, slick work to Brown. The skipper turns it on the left and back into the centre corridor. That's where Port Adelaide... Oh! Big lad Fleming! Oh, it's a beauty! Right over the top. So the Redlegs are really firing up early. They lead by 3 points and their intensity has been quite terrific. As Obst squares it up nicely. Godden pushes it long and low to the far side where Doreen really has created some space. Got away from his direct opponent and drills it long towards Pascoe. And the big man's got it. Well, we saw him kick 8, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, and he turned the tide.
And he'll need to do that again today if Norwood are going to be a chance. But the key to that was their run from defence. What we see Port Adelaide do so well is build that wall across half forward and across the wing and repel attacks. They squared the ball up from the midfield. There was a run from Doreen, who'd moved down from half back. Excellent clean skill straight to Pascoe, and that's the way Norwood have got to move the footy forward today.
2 goals from 5 kicks last week in a losing side. And the goal umpire says that's right, true. So the Redlegs are right off to the start that they wanted. 8 minutes in, they've got 2 goals on the board, and Port Adelaide are 3 points.
It started with Fleming, didn't it? I mean, super catch there in defence. Norwood players wanted to run. They had the opportunity. Good vision there from Godden. Squared it up. Clean movement of the footy, and Pascoe didn't let them down.
You were worried about Archie up forward being maybe a little bit too mobile, but the strength of Pascoe we saw there. So it's going to be a good clash to watch this afternoon. Again, Chalmers down to Cotton. They missed him last week down at Noarlunga. He's back this week. Oh, the mark nearly taken. They had the numbers again. They go forward. Sanford onto the boot. Pascoe on the back. It's over the top and it's hit the post. Oh, bit of unluck, but they are running in packs.
Their working close has been good. They're just really focused on the footy here. Bit of luck to get it out there, but all moving forward. He had plenty of options there. Not a terrific kick off the boot there from Sanford, but nearly through for a major.
Archie, fellas, is 192 centimetres. Pascoe is 198, so he's giving away a fair bit of height.
For the body weight, David.
And the body weight, good point, 105 versus 88. Fair point, Nails. Oh, the umpire's down. And the mark's been taken by Clayton.
Well,
nothing intentional there. There was no Fraser Gehrig about that. He just attacked the footy hard.
Clayton from 55 goes long towards goal. Distance is not the problem. He's dragged it to the left. and through for a point. So the Magpies are wasteful. They're 4 points. Norwood are 2-1.
Archie's form's been good, but he wouldn't have come across an opponent the size of Pascoe, whether he plays in front or behind. Very, very difficult to match up on.
Fleming down the middle of the ground looking for Sanford. Over the back again will be Chalmers. Very disciplined. Down to Fraser, across to Waite. Waite sets up Clayton. He should be tackled. Coming in is the clever James. Puts the ball over the top. Neil will take it, give it back further afield. Able to set it up. Coming through was Godden. Goes out wide. Good pass. Good mark taken by Scott Bassett. Need to keep the ball moving. It's a high ball. Allows Taylor to come in. Takes an uncontested mark now. There's only 4 players inside 50. Cunningham can go over the top here. He sidesteps. Now from 48 will unleash. Goes up wide. Pascoe at the back. Puts the big frame up. Just couldn't bring the ball down. And another behind. So 2-2-14. A 10-point margin to the Redlegs.
Cunningham, very important player, and more importantly, in the absence of Harvey as well, needs to take that responsibility on and become the key midfielder for their side.
Harvey out with a dislocated shoulder.
Yeah, it'll be another 4 or 5 weeks, David, at least. They're nasty.
Cunningham, the Jack Oatey medalist of just a couple of years ago. Chalmers, big fly. Brown took front position, but bringing it down and forward was Fraser. Towards centre half forward, the kick was just a little wide, and Doreen just sweeping across half back is setting up plenty of action for the Redlegs. Gallagher back to Doreen in the double play. Doreen has set everything up, but that kick was a shocker. Not his best. Burgoyne, who played so wonderfully well second half last week. Back to Steed. Concedes a little bit of ground. Fegert caught on the left. Pushes it forward. Waite misses it. Misjudged it. Gallagher, his direct opponent, turns it around the corner. James, click hands. Doreen, another handball. He's finding plenty of it. James, DeBound, and now Gallagher deep into the pocket. Pascoe and Archie. Archie got an important fist and forced it across the line.
Archie realises that's going to be his strength, his pace, and that's where you'll find that he'll get down the ground, particularly late in the game. He'll run and run and run. So particularly early, while Pascoe's getting his opportunities, he'll need to be aware of the body, bearing in mind that he's got an opportunity to run off later in the day.
Good kick, finds Bond. There's some talent out on that football field this afternoon.
You've got to say that, Mark. It's a pretty good call. When you look on every line, there's great players and state players.
Great players, state players, AFL experience everywhere. Bowman, too strong for Filippo. Coming in, look like Gallagher just gets the quick kick. Some good use of the ball, some great body pressure out there at the moment. Brown's at the bottom of this pack. He needs to get the ball out. He doesn't. And there is Neville Roberts.
Be looking for a win today.
Well,
season hasn't panned out exactly like he would expect it today, but no better opportunity than Port at Norwood Oval on your home turf.
Dead right, Paisley. Waterloo for Rocky today. Sanford shoves it down. Now Cotton. They've done well recruiting him at 24 years of age. He has been a find to Ops, the speedster, to the Jack Oatey medalist in Cunningham. So we've even got a Jack Oatey medalist out there. Neil, former premiership or grand final player with St Kilda, thumps it down. Fegert, another one of the AFL contingent. And Carter's also had his time in the AFL. There's stars on every line, and they're playing like it today. To half forward he goes. Good work, Sanford. Back strongly. Smith came crashing out. Sanford and Smith collide, and the players go at it. Brosnan couldn't quite get there. Steed flicks it into a little bit of space where James picks it up. It is frantic out there and tough. Brown heads after it. The ball towards the line. Brown tries to keep it in, but Cotton got him and took him across the line.
Intelligent play there from Brett James. Had no options, had no runners, went for the boundary line and found it. And just a couple of key things, really indicative of the way that both sides are going about it. The attack on the ball here today is absolutely fantastic.
We talk about there's some experienced players out there, but a couple of young players also that I'm looking forward. That Kane McLean we saw a couple of weeks ago in very good form.
Oh!
Maybe tripped. We heard Dave Mackay give a little bit of a yelp there, but they go forward again by Taylor. Hits up the bound, just a little bit too tall for him. Comes back to Carter. Carter goes up towards Smith. He's got 3 or 4 players on him. Oh, good spoil. Good take by Kemp. Tried to get the handball back there to Neil. Didn't find his target, so a rush behind. As we see the scores now, 5 behinds to the Magpies. They trail by 9, Norwood on 2-2.
Just talk about the embarrassment of riches that Port Adelaide have got. I mean, out this week, O'Loughlin, Ormond, Allen and Tregenza. 3 critical players to be replaced by Bond, Smith and Polton. So 3 in, 3 out, all fantastic players in their own right.
Hobbs to James to half forward. And Neil's got it. And a headlock and a sleeper hold. We're 15 minutes in. Norwood are 14 points. Port Adelaide are 5. And the intensity of this Redlegs in the opening quarter would please Neville Roberts. From 55, long towards the goal square. Pascoe underneath it. Archie there, the custodian. And through, just making the distance, Neil gets a point for the Redlegs.
Another player capable of kicking a bag. We saw him kick 6 or 7 here last year at Norwood Oval. And
he's kicked 10, hasn't
another. He has in his time, yeah. But I remember here last year, very, very strong against it. Might have been West Adelaide, and he will be another player today that will need to get at least 3 or 4 if Norwood are going to match this Port Adelaide lineup. It's just littered with riches.
I just love to see the ball get in one-on-one between Archie and Pascoe. I just think Pascoe at the moment's running out, but a good mark there by Bowman. And Norwood just need to keep this ball moving quickly. Taylor chips it up this time. Pascoe comes up hard. He takes a mark out in front, so he took my advice. And this time came out in front of Archie.
One of the very few that has.
Well, no, I really wanted him to sit back on the goal line and go one-on-one with Archie, but he's come out there. He just was assisted there, I think, by Neil in that clash. Just gave him a little bit of space, but we'll see. He'll kick from around about 40 metres. Got a very strong left leg. In a little bit of form at the moment. Just stabs at this ball, but has enough control with it. He does. He brings up his second, and Norwood, they kick their third.
Well, not only is he coming out strongly and taking the marks and finishing off the good work, but he's converting, and that's the key, particularly early in the game. He's going back, kicking through the footy on his left leg and making sure that Port Adelaide are paying for the good work from the Norwood players up the ground.
Robert Neal in that contest, by the way, took out 2 Port opponents. You don't get little credits, but he saw Pascoe coming through, put his body right in front of the 2 Port players and gave Pascoe a clear run at it. They're the things the coaches notice.
Arms stretched out, can't get around Pascoe.
Spot on. 3-3 plays 5 points. The Redlegs have found some intensity and their range has been pretty good. Sanford shovels it down. Cotton releases the ball to Bowman. Sweeping again from half-back and forced onto the left boot. It's a high bomb towards half-forward. Bassett couldn't get near it as Fiegert destroys it. Brown over the top, claimed in the tackle by McLean. Burgoyne was quick and slick. McGuinness, well, he finds plenty of the ball and he's using it pretty well this season. Perhaps a state representative, who would know? Brosnan couldn't take it. Good work, James. Then Doreen, and backing him up back there was Godden too, with another handball through to them all to set it up. Bond couldn't get there. Cunningham, thought about it twice. Now it's James. Gee, the Redlegs are dangerous in this mood. And it's Cotton starring in the midfield, pushing it in. Archie front position, just keeps going. Boulais claimed. Slick work Taylor over the top. Cotton, well, isn't he finding his range and plenty of the ball? One step back on the left and finishes it.
Another one.
Well done, Cotton. He likes it, and Cotton gets his second. The Redlegs are on fire. You'll need a fire truck out here shortly, the way they're going. And they're 4-3 to 5 points.
Yeah, talk about class players on the Port Adelaide side. This guy's come back into the Norwood lineup today, and on 2 occasions, we've just seen it there. Class all over. Realised that on his right he had no options. There was no leads there. Came back onto his preferred foot on the left, kicked it low and hard, and got the reward of a terrific goal, and he started magnificently. And the Redlegs are just running harder. They're just getting to the contest. 72 touches to 44, so that's a clear indication of their dominance.
Chalmers is on top. He's dominating the hit-outs at the moment, 6-3. But really, the Norwood little men, led beautifully in the middle by Cotton, and also assisted by Cunningham. Done well, but
Coach Stephen Williams there, I mean, quite clearly indicated this year that the side hasn't been playing well, but they're still winning, and once again they find themselves on the back foot. So,
well, we saw him a couple of weeks ago, actually last week against the Roosters. Didn't start that well, but the second half was just champagne football. They go forward again, the Redlegs, over to Cunningham. He can go across the bound. He decides to go home alone.
Oh.
It's up high. Big pass goes there, takes the mark and kicks his third. Oh, what football we're witnessing here so far in the opening term.
Magnificent kick. He's been so important, Johnny Cunningham. Wouldn't have mattered whether Pascoe took the mark or let it go. It was going to be a sausage roll. Great kick from there. Pascoe from behind, just too strong in the end. Cleared the way, and what a start. What a start.
We did give it to Pascoe, didn't we? I think he was.
Pascoe got the goal.
He was inside the line.
He was, and they're 5-3 to 5 points. A 28-point margin just on 20 minutes into the first term. What a boil over at Redleg Oval. It's Top playing fifth, and the Redlegs at home are firing up. Steed out of the middle. Clayton comes crashing out of Fraser, did very well. Brown needs Smith, and he's on the lead, but he turns it back to Brosnan. Brosnan sits underneath this one, sets himself. From behind it was Bassett, spoiling it hard and fast. Gallagher releases Bassett. Gee, their defence has been terrific, the Redlegs, and towards the line goes that kick. Godden couldn't quite get there. 20 and a half minutes played, and the Redlegs are doing it pretty tough.
Sanford in the ruck is starting to get his hands on the ball over Chalmers, and he's really giving his players a first opportunity there in the centre, and that's been critical.
Gee, Cunningham's been busy early, just trying to get the football out again. They just go forward in numbers. Unlucky there, looked like Cotton, in fact it was 38, over the top was Gallagher. Went to ground as he's trying to give the handball. They're just keeping possession at the moment. Could come this side, just not the side. He goes out wide at Doreen, up high. Front like bound. Over the top, couldn't quite get it out, was Fraser. Again, players just diving over. Very hard to pick up the players with the football.
And the umpiring's been pretty good, Paisley.
Well, we haven't noticed them, so that's always a good sign. They're going about their job. But Norwood are just playing in front. Port Adelaide is surrendering front position every time, and then the crummers for Norwood are there and they're running it out.
I think Nails has hit it on the head too. Their midfield is just struggling a little bit. Brown around the... This is Brosnan. 55 out. He could kick it, dead right. A powerful kick. And he's been in pretty good form last week. 3 goals, 2.
No breeze to speak of. We saw last week there was a howling gale. This week absolutely perfect for footy.
We saw him last week. 7 big marks in wintry, swirling conditions.
Wasn't he?
Terrific hands, and his best would certainly get the distance, which it has, but invariably they go left when searching for a bit of distance.
That's it. You just tug him left, trying to get that extra yards, and that's exactly what's happened. But he'll rotate, he'll swap with Sam Phillippo at centre-half forward. Brosnan will go to the pocket. Phillip will come out to centre-half forward. And they'll just try and get the right match up there, trying to get the best avenue forward.
Sanford creates space out wide. Again, we'll see Chalmers go for the disciplined spoil. He does it again. This time gets the ball down to Alfie Steed. Alfie Steed punches the ball back inside of 50. Again, the controlled kick. Couldn't quite find the big wide uprights. Another behind, so 7 behinds. Very costly in this opening quarter. The Magpies, they've had their chances. Well, Norwood, on the other hand, 5 goals, 3.
Fleming from fullback. A magnificent ground covering kick. Chalmers from behind brings it down. 21 fighting hard over the top. It was Kemp, and he's just using the ball pretty well. Smith front position for Port Adelaide. At the back, Doreen runs out of space and across the line. We're 23 minutes into the first term. 33 plays 7.
Doreen's been good, acting skipper back there. Just making sure that he's leading his troops when the ball comes down, and also providing lots of run when they've got the footy.
Phillippo tried to kick it forward. 2-on-2 at the huddle.
The change has been made at full-back. Archie has now come out and will be picking up Robert Neal, going back on the full-back. Now, this does surprise me.
Good one.
It's in fact northeast. So same body weight, maybe the same pace, and a bit of pushing and shoving down there. We'll get back to the action here. It's in the Magpies. Inside 5. A great mark was Bassett, going back with the football.
There's no way they're the same body weight.
Oh, pretty close.
What, 92 to 105?
Oh, Bowman, great commitment at the football. Vines picks it up, a chance from McGuinness. He loves kicking a goal. Boom. He hasn't let his side down either. That's the first one for the Magpies. They're 1-7. They still trail the Redlegs on 5 goals, 3.
Surprisingly enough, our expert statistician Moggy tells us that Port Adelaide have actually been into 50 more often than Norwood, but I think what we've seen here is that every time Norwood have gone forward, they've converted and they've kicked straight, kicked sausage roll. So their defence are getting down there in numbers. Having said all that, another terrific goal from Phil McGuinness. Snapshot, that's his trademark, isn't it? Rarely misses from there.
1-7 Port Adelaide, and they've only had the 1 rush behind, so they've had 6 players missing some very kickable shots for goals. So they're not playing bad. The Redlegs are just finishing better, as Andrew Pay's just said. Fraser Out to Waite, turns it around the corner. He's a penetrating kick. Phillippo sets himself from behind. Bassett spoils. Loose ball, Bond. Clayton, normally a halfback flanker. Bang. Thank you very much. As easy as you like, and Port Adelaide, as they usually do, are getting themselves back in the game.
Straight out the middle then. Clayton's been good. He's competed both times, and good work from Troy Bond there, who'll be looking for some confidence. He's been in the footy wilderness for 2 years now, and he'd be just looking to get out here, have a run around, get his hands on the footy like that, and was just instrumental in getting himself into the right position here from the kick-in, feeding it out to Clayton, who didn't let him down on the left foot. Good skills.
That's Clayton's first, the Magpies second. They kicked the last 2 goals. The ball's bounced down again. 33 plays 19. Sanford this time gets the ball down. Ball ace is pulled off. It should have been paid. The free kick. Down to Clayton. Clayton crashes through the pack, gives it back to the captain and Brown. He goes over the top to McGuinness. In there again was Waite. Couldn't take it. Good work by Gallagher. Releases a player in Godden. Godden left leg heads down towards Bound. Bound couldn't take it. Good sport from behind by Feegit. 26 is McLean. The youngster, the 18-year-old Redleg, but forced to kick the ball out of bounds on the full.
Of course, McLean named this week in the state under-18 squad. Chalmers front position, flicks it out. Waite dishes it out. Brown got crunched heavily as he got the handball away. Brosnan to Steed, double plays work for them. Brosnan goes around the corner. He was looking for Phillippo, just couldn't find the range. And McGuinness off the ground, pushes it forward, but Fleming playing in front, gathers it in, releases it. Oh, that's one's high. Yep, and the umpire's blown his whistle.
Well, whatever it is, it was exaggerated enough as well, so definitely quite clearly high there.
McGuinness looking for a set play.
A little bit far out.
Here comes Phillippo. That was the target, but doing very well. Taylor, it was dead on line to Phillippo, and the only thing between that and the Port goal was young Taylor.
Good courageous mark, came across there, didn't know what was coming at him, just kept his eye on the foot. It was a good mark. Bassett
playing his 50th game for the Redlegs today, so a highlight game for him. Yeah, they're just slow motion, the Redlegs. Very little urgency on that occasion. As Lachlan Bowman goes forward, Bond, Vines, good handball to Carter. He's got Brown running for him, doesn't use him, turns it around the corner. A long talk to Brosnan under this. 2 hands, couldn't take it. Godden was lucky. Brosnan flicks it back. McGuinness, Steed, under pressure from Lockie Bowman, but McGuinness picks it up, snaps for goal. And the goal umpire arches the back and says it's a goal. So 3-7 to 5-3. Port Adelaide in time on have got right back in this game.
Once again, we just see Phil McGuinness. Doesn't matter, right, left, any sort of snapshot. It's like he's kicking a 30-metre drop punt from straight in front. He just converts every time. We take it for granted because we see him do it week in, week out. But they're not easy shots for goal. And real team-lifting stuff. They're back in the hunt now. They're only 8 points down at nearly quarter time.
The pressure back on the Redlegs now. Sanford pumps himself up. He hits his head a couple of times. He's ready for the contest with Chalmers. Chalmers goes for it, takes it out of the air. He's thrown the ground by Sanford. Coming through hard, taken high as Taylor. I've been impressed with this young little ginger head player. Already having 9 possessions in this game. Obbs puts it out wide. A great mark going back inside. Comes back to Cunningham. He's taken by Carter. Maybe should have gone back and taken the mark. He couldn't go. Neal comes into the contest. Ball ace is in there as well. Over the top was Archie. The ball's still alive somehow. Back to ball ace. Now the boundary umpire finally blows his whistle. It will be thrown in.
Look at the crowd.
Look at the fantastic
Look
crowd.
at the crowd.
7,500, David.
Big crowd. Keep
Super
going.
stuff.
Get down here if you're sitting at home. This game is going to be a blockbuster.
But Port Adelaide, they just seem to be able to lift the intensity. The flick of a switch, just see Cunningham streaming into goal there. There's no way he was going to get around Carter. Laid on a fantastic tackle and repelled another goal.
Bound, used his body well. Cunningham turns it around the corner, heads towards goals, but it's offline. 1 point when a goal would have been more than handy. 29.5 minutes in. The Redlegs are 5-4. Port Adelaide are 3-7.
Archie. The concentration on the young shoulders. He has Steed moving for him. He's got 3 players inside. His last kick was short and sharp. This is a bit longer and a bit higher. Fegan has to sit here, decides not to go for the contest. Bound, who I've been impressed with this season as well. She's starting to grow a little bit taller. Kicked up forward, coming out hard as Brosnan. There's going to be a great duel between him and Bowman. The ball skits out wide again. Again, players falling over the top of it. Good work by James. Just sets up Ops. A clever kick by Ops finds Sanford. He's got Taylor down the field. Might go over the top and look for Neil up forward. That's the direction that he goes. One-on-one, Neil in front. Maybe should have been paid the free kick. McLean gets a soccer forward as we hear the siren to end the first term here. And that really has been fantastic. A 9-point margin, Andrew, just favouring the Redlegs.
Fantastic quarter of footy. Norwood started very well. They got the ball out of the centre. They moved the ball cleanly and efficiently into their forward line. Pascoe looked very, very dangerous with 3 goals. They set it up beautifully towards him, put it in the right spot. He took the marks and converted. And halfway through that quarter, they looked like they were going to hold a pretty convincing lead. But once again, Port Adelaide just rallied. A couple of trademark snaps from Phil McGuinness, and all of a sudden they're back in town. The intensity lifts, and as we turn here at quarter time, it's only 9 points the difference, and we've got a real game on our hands.
So quarter time score sees the Redlegs. They're on 5-4-34. The Magpies 3-7-25. And you're watching all the SANFL action on ABC Sport. Start the second quarter here at Norwood Oval. Umpire Chambers will put the ball down. Again, we see Sanford up against Chalmers. Cunningham has his head ripped off his shoulders. It's up forward towards Clayton. He's out well. He puts his big arms up and takes a good mark. He'll get the ball moving quickly inside 50. Smith comes out hard. Good sport from behind by Fleming. Sanford in board again. Finds Cunningham. Straightens the body up. Does Bowman. He's hit by Clayton as he releases the football. Nothing will stop him. Archie comes out. Neil's over the top. A spoil out there by Archie. Allows Neil to come in. Neil just chips it up over the top of Northeast and brings up his first major. And the first blood is struck by the Redlegs in the second quarter.
Beautifully done by Norwood there. Ran it out of defence. Good hard work, and see the bullocking and the strength there of Robert Neil just to be able to get clear, maintain composure and kick through the ball. And they've started this quarter exactly in the same fashion as that first quarter, and he's a player that needs to step up and kick a few goals.
Geez, they were pumped down there at quarter time. I just noticed these supporters, they were around the benches, around the coaches, but the Norwood supporters very, very vocal.
Yes, we'll get a shot of that later, Mark. Thanks for telling us that. 6-4 to 3-7. McGuinness out to Vines, turning it around the corner. Brosnan overran it under pressure from Bonham. That hasn't been a bad battle so far either. Gallagher comes back on it, turned on a threepenny bit and forced it forward where Bourlaise marks in front of Carr. Now Carr's shut Bourlaise out of this contest so far. He's done pretty well. Bush and Neil almost marked it, but at the back door it was Burgoyne who did so very well last week, forcing it wide and out of bounds on the full. So he did everything right except the finish.
Just had too much on the kick.
Gallagher. Well, that's an interesting one too with Waite. 12 possessions to Gallagher, and Waite's a pretty handy player, state player. At the back door, it's Carter, whose first term was terrific. Heads to the safety of the boundary line. Port Adelaide defence, I think, used that better than anyone.
My sentiments entirely. Gallagher's really worked hard in defence as well. We were singing the praises of Norwood's defence in the first quarter. Mark Nayley was with Fleming and also Bowman, but it was their wingman that dropped down to help him out, and Gallagher was one of those.
Doreen to Bourlaise to Gallagher. Bound just got in the way, had to recover. Needs support from Doreen. Gets him further afield was James. Ignored. Going long towards goal. He'll drop it right in the square. Pascoe manhandled for 2-on-2 contest. Off hands and through for a behind.
What's Fleming doing up there?
Fleming's getting down the ground as well. Doesn't mind a run. A sign of a side that really is attacking today, and they're confident at the moment, Norwood. Just trying to get the full forward off guard. Smith had to go with him.
Archie brings the ball in, spots Chalmers. Chalmers gets the ball moving quickly out wide towards Bourgoyne. He fumbles the first one, then takes the second. Brown down the line will find Vines. Vines comes inside now. Looks out wide. That's the direction he goes. He's looking for Clayton. He seems to be a target up there across that half-forward line. opening the second quarter. Oh, great work by Bassett from behind. Oh, they're working very hard. Godden's over the top of this, will go over the top to Fleming. Straightens the body up now. He's spotted. It's like James. James cleverly back to Gallagher. He should chip it over the top. The kick's not good. He's really has set a player up, and Fiegert takes an uncontested chest mark.
I think Markey was trying to allow Cunningham to run onto it, but Fiegert read it pretty well and pushed it back to Filippo, who's marked on 50.
Coming up for only his second touch, so he's been very quiet, Sam Filippo.
And out it goes to McGuinness, who really ignited Port Adelaide. Change of foot. Go down to Michael Parsons. They've taken Carr off Michael.
Yes, Daniel Morgan coming on for his first run. Looks like he's going to go and play on a half-forward flank.
McGuinness looks for a set play, and the target back to Filippo. That wasn't a catch in cricket. The batsman was not out. To the back door, Doreen. And wider afield, the runner is Opt, who turns a high ball into space. Morgan fresh on the ground with fresh legs. Got to the contest, but just dropped it. Ballais picks it up. He's claimed by Vines. Got away the handball. Did just enough, but the umpire said, holding the ball.
Pretty slick there to run him down. Excellent work from Vines there. Just concentrated. And with the tackle, didn't fall all over and dragged him to the side. That's excellent work.
Vines from half-back just chips a short one to Chalmers. You just wonder about Sanford, don't we? The second half is going to be the factor in that contest. And Chalmers to half forward. Brosnan, Bond brings it back inboard. Just a little bit of space for Steed to run onto. Heads towards the goal square, and Smith the target, but didn't even look for the big fellow and pushed it wide and out of bounds on the full.
Bond starting to get his hands on the footy. Good sign for him and for Port Adelaide.
Kick out wide. James comes back inside. Norda running again. The ball's up. It favours the players up forward. It wasn't. Carter, Fiegert picks it up. Burgoyne gives it across to Mad Dog Morgan, who's just come on. It's a high ball. The sit will be for Clayton once again. He pushed the player in the back. Umpire calls play on. Comes out wide. Free kick's been found here. The advantage goes to McGuinness. It was on Clayton. The high ball has brought it back far enough. I think he might have kicked his third. He has. So the Magpies strike back. They kick 4 goals 7, 31. They trail by 10 points. Nord on 6-5. We'll make it down to Michael Parsons again. Another change. Norwood's first change for the afternoon.
Yeah, showing Matthew Dawes coming on. He's going to replace Scott Ballais. He's made an error on the outer side a couple of plays ago, and he'll be on for his first run.
Umpire called it correctly there. Always going to be an advantage with the ball in the hands of Phil McGuinness, and didn't let his side down. That's his third.
6-5 to 4-7, 10-point ball game. McGuinness gets his third. He kicked 4 last week. Steve tried to get that one into space. Carter running from half-back, just flicks it out to Matthew Ashley. Towards centre forward, only one player took front position, and that was Bassett. It comes to ground. Fraser flicks it out, but Fleming, who's starring from full-back for Norwood, drives it along into space, but no red leg there, and Morgan drops underneath this one and takes the chest mark.
Must have made a remarkable recovery. Didn't play last week and wasn't named in the side this week either, so obviously Danny Morgan has made an excellent recovery in the last couple of days and put his hand up.
Good call, Paisley. We've just played 7 minutes of the second term. 10-point ball game. If you've just joined us, the Redlegs dominated the first stages of this match, and Port Adelaide, late in time on in the first term, got themselves back within 9 points at quarter time. Waite crashes through, claimed in the contest by Sanford, who's doing pretty well. James releases Godden, the boy from Collingwood, forces wide. Here goes Clayton and Kemp. Good contest, that one. Clayton picks it up, shrugs the tackle, gets one high.
It's clearly, obviously, the only mismatch on the ground. Clayton, 12 or 13 kilograms heavier than young Kemp, and just on the 2 or 3 occasions he's been out or out-body him. Didn't finish off there, but maybe Neville Roberts might have to look at making a move and perhaps putting Godden onto Clayton there with equivalent body weight.
Well, the back sixes work pretty well for them. So I just wonder whether Rocky's reluctant to make any changes at all when it's all working for them. Clayton and Sanford.
He wouldn't. It's just an obvious swap, though, just to move the young Kemp. He's only 73 kilos. He's only a whippet, and Clayton a couple of times is out-bodied.
Yeah, this game has got the boys excited.
And Mark, changes for Port Adelaide. Smith has come off at full forward. Filippo's gone there. Matthew Ashley's come on, probably as a result of Fleming just being so dominant, running off Smith and creating options up forward for Norwood.
You might also check, Michael, whether Smith is entirely fit. He did miss last week.
Burgoyne cleverly inside, gives Bond a chance. He'll be taken as he kicks it. It's a high ball. It's a bit of a cuddle up forward between Brosnan and also Bassett. Brosnan's given away a 25-metre penalty as well. This game is coming alive. Even my co-commentators, Andrew Payes and David Mackay, are both on their feet. Getting really excited by this game. Bowman has the free kick plus the penalty. It's a high ball again. Jumping Neil will go first at it. Waite, the tackle. With him was Ashley. Played with the football, looked like Taylor. Bit of pushing and shoving. Gallagher, Ashley.
Stephen Williams has given Fraser a run with responsibility. Jared Cotton, far too influential in the first quarter. He said, just sit with him, just work with him, just run off him. That's what's happening. Both players being inconspicuous this quarter.
Loose ball out wide. Carter should cleanse one up. He does. Then goes down the line, finds Ashley. Ashley wants to get the ball moving towards Wade. He'll be collared by Taylor. Cleverly saw him out of the corner of his eye. Back to Brown. He's pushed over as he kicked. Ball's only gone as far as Sanford. Quick hands across to Bassett. Bassett will go wide. Finds James. James goes over to Kemp. Kemp back to James. He'll straighten up this time.
Good
spot Hobbs out wide. He does that. Give the handball. He doesn't. Good voice by Taylor. Vines comes in late. He heads to the top of the square. Back there is Chalmers. Front posse. He takes a good strong mark in front of Pascoe.
Very good coaching, Pacey.
Yeah, it was. He knows that Pascoe's always going to have far too much height and strength for his opponent. He's just getting the backward player there in Chalmers to drop back there. It's always going to be 2-on-1. Nord will have to watch that with their delivery into the forward line.
Well, normally the ruckman just sits across half back. Stephen Williams has got him resting at full back. Pretty good ploy.
Chalmers does it better than anyone in the caper.
Filippo gave a very good contest. The ball ricochets back to him. Off the ground he goes. 13 is Matty Dawes on the ground, turning it around the corner and into a little bit of space. And James has been damaging. Steed's got the job of running with him, by the way, and Bassett forces it out a little wider afield. It was almost a throw by Bound, but the ball was out of play.
A lot of people perplexed as to why Brett James can't get a game in the Crows in AFL. Every time we see him, super creative in the middle. He just gets his hands. David Mackay indicating that it might be explosive pace, but gee whiz, he still gets his hands on it and uses it every time, and we won't find too many occasions where he doesn't find a teammate. 3
kicks, 12 handballs to him. You're dead right, Pacey. And I think that's a fair comment. Just at AFL level, he just struggles for that real quickness of pace, and he's exploited at the odd times. But at this level, he is a star.
Every week you find him, he'll get his 30 touches, and they all count.
Bound from behind. Chalmers took front position and wins it, but Bound just flicks it out into a little bit of space. Bond runs onto it. Doreen got him in the tackle, forcing it forward and doing pretty well. Hobbs just hemmed him in for a little while. Doreen to Cunningham. They're running the Redlegs. This is when they're dangerous. Towards full forward, Pascoe, but backing back into it, Archie.
Got back there well, the young fella.
I can't see what the umpire's doing here. Pascoe was holding Archie. Archie went to swing to remove the arm. The umpire blew his whistle. Oh, northeast! Nearly collided there. Umpire has to pay the advantage.
Free kick, he ran straight at him.
No, it was.
Had to be a free kick.
It was. It wasn't Neil, so Neil shouldn't be complaining. In fact, it was Sanford.
Yeah, but I think what Neil's saying is I didn't touch him.
Well, Neil didn't, but Sanford did.
He still charged him.
We may get to see it again.
It's interference whether you touch him or not.
No, you can run as hard as you want at him, as long as you don't touch him.
Well, he did. He's collected him there with his left knee.
All right. Well, that's how the umpire saw it, Pace. You'd have to go with your...
Put your glasses back on, mate.
Your version.
Been any closer than that from where we are. We're just about on top of him here in the commentary box.
You wimps.
You man
it's a man's game.
You man in white, you.
And it's a game for the men out there today. It's tough and mean. And I think there'll be a few players with some bruises. Chalmers. Turning it around the corner. That was well done.
Strong.
Doreen. Haven't they combined well from half back? Swinging it back into the corridor. James picks up another possession to Bassett. Game number 50, and he's enjoying it. He's been in good form so far. Archie away from Neil. Steed, Carter. Look at the quick hands. Fraser couldn't get it clear. Cotton, just a quick one. And underneath this one, Gallagher.
Good courageous mark.
He heard Chalmers coming at him, didn't he?
He knew he was there, kept his eye on the footy, and he's playing a terrific game.
So he's only a youngster, 20 years of age, and I guess there's not
Nephew of Philip.
much in the way of intensity that you get with a big crowd at Norwood Oval.
15 possessions.
There's not much of him, is there?
Quarter, no, he's only be what, 70 kilo?
Playing on a state wingman and doing pretty well. It's not a bad resume, is it? Famous football family, third generation red leg, and he goes long towards goal.
Great kick from the middle too. That's team lifting stuff.
The Gallaghers would like that one, and they're playing today for the Gallagher-Williams Cup, and one of the offspring finishes it off.
Sentiment to boot, that's just terrific stuff there. Courageous mark, goes back and finished. Good vision from Cotton here. Didn't blaze into the goal square. Saw young Gallagher out the corner of his eye and then finishes off with a good goal from right on the 50. Well done.
We make it out to Michael Parsons once again. Another change has been made by coach Stephen Williams.
Yes, Damien Brown's just come on in place of Julian Waite, just waiting. Matthew Ashley's gone to the wing. Damien Brown looks like it will go to centre-half forward. So another change in the Port Adelaide forward line.
Burgoyne back to Carter. Carter sets himself and looks for Fegert. Fegert takes it, drops the football. The umpire had already blown the whistle. Now what's going on here? Come on, let the game go. There's nothing in that. Blows it back on. Fegert down the line. At the back as Bowman has to sit and takes a good mark over the top. Looks to give the handball inboard. As Bond has Sanford down the line. Takes it. Wants to give it across to James. McGuinness is quickly onto the mark. This time he unleashes Sanford. The kick is terrible. Cotton's in the middle, so is Brown. Brown with great courage. Takes a good mark. Straightens up also.
David Brown trying to lift his charges. That's his 15th possession. He's been good.
Godden to Kemp, who's had his hands full with Clayton. What a beautiful kick. A searching kick and an accurate one to Bound, who delivers it towards the corridor on centre-half forward where Neil sets himself. Archie unsettled him. Carter's claimed in the tackle, gives it away. Chalmers forces it wide. McLean goes after it. Morgan for Port Adelaide straight towards the line and slips at the appropriate time.
I think the feature we haven't mentioned is we see the Norwood box in. Neville Roberts, Matthew Kelly that is, and also Simmons, his name is ex-North Adelaide player.
Chalmers, front position. Back it goes, Burgoyne smothered by Dawes. Dropping his head was Morgan, getting through. McGuinness into space, just inside the line.
Oh,
It sat for Brosnan. Well, that was clever, wasn't it? Did it pretty well. And that one's out of bounds on the full. So just the pressure.
Norwood's attack on the ball and the body. One thing we haven't mentioned today that they've been real good at is their tackling. They just haven't been able to break away clear and get their running game going.
I was about to say, Will James handball. He did. He gave it to Cunningham. It's over the top. Archie reads the ball well over Neil. So Archie, the move was made. And he stood up for him. Oh, Fleming again on Filippo. Really is taking Filippo apart of the stage of the game. The kick over the top by Obbs. Trying to create Neil, who's found a bit of space. Left leg. Smothered by Archie again. Good work inside. Couldn't quite find Vines. It's knocked forward again by Obbs. Comes back to Burgoyne. Archie has running Vines. The free kick has been found. Not quite sure what it was for.
Port Adelaide supporters aren't happy with that. Clearly disadvantaged the side. They're off and running.
Archie, left leg. Bit of a helicopter. Cotton does well. Comes inside the umpire. Just saw the ball out over the line. So it'll be thrown in. We've played 17 minutes into the second quarter. A 16-point margin favours the Redlegs.
And Mark, again, you just saw Dale Fleming run the whole length of the ground to drag Sam Filippo right down to the half-forward line for Norwood. And it's Peter Simmons, the other assistant coach for Norwood.
One of your ex-teammates, Michael.
A very dogged back pocket player. Has been in the coaching caper for a few years now.
Yeah, from Walkerville and now coaching the reserves at Norwood.
They've produced a few AFL players from the Walkerville footy
Matthew
club.
Robram.
And Jonathan. There's four of them actually that come through if you think about it. We might ask you later, Paisy. And Northeast forces it wide. Brosnan did very well. Used his body on Bassett to set half forward over the head of Brown. Filippo set himself in the contest. Ooh, we like that. Crashing stuff, wasn't it? Brown and Sanford. And look at young Gallagher going in hard. Carter comes in late. And the umpire says, fellas, I'll have a bounce.
It's magnificent to see, isn't it? Just epitomise the way that everyone's catched the ball. Bang! Sanford there, straight through. got it out there. Just fantastic side.
Oh, why do we love footy? And the AFL's taking that out of the game, fellas, with more shame them. That's what we come to see. The big fellas collide and doing it like that. Kemp from the defensive 50. A little short one. Cunningham was the target, missed the target. Feagert goes to the back door, turns it around the corner and heads towards the boundary line. Port Adelaide reset. They trail by 16 points and we're 18 and a half minutes into the second term.
Oh, I'd love to see that again. It was like a couple of sumo wrestlers confronting each other. Big Brown and Big Sanford.
Rugby style, wasn't it? Gave it inside.
Why do they want to
just trying to get yards?
Why do they want to take that out of the game? Fair dinkum.
They shouldn't. Sanitise it too much. It's under too much scrutiny in the AFL, and that's exactly why people just love coming out. This sort of
bang, shoulder.
Brown's commitment was good. It was a good tackle, but Sanford was strong enough just to get some yards forward.
Clayton kicks the ball in. Brosnan at the back with
Good
Smith
mark.
and Phillippo. Phillippo takes the grab. You can never underestimate this player. Can just create something.
You did right, Nails. We saw him last week quite clearly beaten for most of the game and finished with 3 goals at Prospect Oval, all late in the game. So he's got that ability to turn it on and really have an influence in a short period of time.
The kick's not good. Tried the left foot banana ball. It's gone across and through for another behind. So the Magpies 4-8-32. The Redlegs 7-5-47.
"20 minutes gone, second term, 7-5 the Redlegs, 4 goals, 8 Port Adelaide. We've got a 15-point ball game, and it's been tough and mean this term. In fact, the whole first half. Bassett, game number 50 for him. Morgan thumps it away. Carter just dragged out of the contest by Taylor. Here comes Morgan again to McGuinness, who's kicked 3 if you've just joined us, and has really kept Port Adelaide in this match. Kemp. Sanford is doing the ruck work for the Redlegs today. Around the corner to Gallagher, starring on weight to Cotton, whose first quarter was exemplary. Puts it up, a little bit of air. Pascoe went early, a little too early. At the back, it's Neal. It just needs to sit for him. Off the ground he goes, and he's got it. Scratch and Neal's got his second. And the Redlegs advance 21 points over Port Adelaide.
Well, he nearly made a meal of it, but he just had enough momentum on the ball to get it through, and he almost beat the ball to the line there. We see Cotton setting it up again, just getting away from Fraser late in this quarter. Neal read it best, tried to pick it up but couldn't, bunts it off the knee and gets through for a goal for Norwood, and they are hot at the moment. Classic Port Norwood encounter. That's what the fans have come to see, and they're not being let down by this contest.
21-point margin favouring the Redlegs. Sanford, who's rucked all afternoon for the Redlegs, takes it out of the air. Great work, Steve. Tackle from behind. Had time to get rid of the football. Taylor's been good also. It's up high. Coming out hard was Clayton. He's been exciting in the second quarter. Gives the handball back to Vine. Vine's up high. Great mark. One-hander taken there by Bassett.
This is where Norwood have been good. Bassett, Fleming, Gallagher, they're all just running from defence. Doreen
has found space. Doreen goes on with the football. It's low, it's long, it's over the top of Carter. Coming out hard as Neal just pops it out in front of Taylor. Good work by Neal over the top. They had the numbers around the football. Vines gets it, takes it down the line again. Phillippo well up the field, comes inboard. Sanford should take this. Good work by Brosnan just to interfere. The handball goes back 15 metres again. Clayton's in there. Releases 22, which is Fraser. Good work by Cotton. With him is Matthew Lashley. Norwood now had the numbers also. Godden should turn inside. He does. He has Cunningham on the wing. Great smother there by Fraser. Gives Clayton a chance. Oh, a tackle by Bassett. The umpire is paid holding the ball.
Bassett makes the tackle, but it was Cotton's first, second and third efforts before on Fraser to spill the ball. He's pumped up. Gets over there, and we just see Clayton looking up. Thought he had more time, no talk. Bassett lays on a good tackle.
Flat ball, fellas. The ball's gone flat. So the umpires call for a fresh ball. And the Redlegs, Michael, are making another interchange.
Yes, David. Loeffler's going to come on for young Kane McLean, and Tommy Carr has returned to the field in place of Troy Bond for Port Adelaide, who's probably just sucking wind a little bit.
Well, no wonder that ball has been battered to death in this game. So Bassett from the defensive position. pushes it wide to the far side. Cunningham and Steed. So they've got some run with players, Port Adelaide. Steed's had the little fellas.
Steed's gone on to Cunningham. Fraser's still with Cotton. And actually Matthew Ashley has moved on to the influential Gallagher as well. So Stephen Williams just realising that he can't afford to let these Redlegs players cut loose because their confidence is very high at the moment. They've been terrific.
23.5 minutes second term. 53 plays 32. 21 points in favour of the Redlegs.
I don't think we can underestimate the value of Stanford today. I mean, we looked at that matchup with Chalmers. Definitely thought that Chalmers had the athleticism and the run, but Stanford's really given his all, hadn't he? He's just been terrific in those centre bounces and worked tirelessly.
Long
the
way
thing will be if he can sustain it for 4 quarters.
Spot on. That's the assessment. Bowman towards half forward. Taylor got underneath the contest, so too did Morgan. It was almost a throw, that one. Morgan forces it to Carter. And Morgan, as he usually does, he's at the bottom of every pack just trying to dish it out to somebody running past. But the Redlegs tackling has been ferocious.
Has been. We might try and get a stat on the amount of tackles that the Redlegs have laid on. They've been very good in that area. And Danny Morgan sits his come on. As usual, Mark Nailey, Mad Dog Morgan in underneath, down the bottom of the packs trying to burrow it out.
Ball's down. Norwood side of the centre. Little chip kick forward there by James. He's ducked ahead. And good decision was called by David Mackay.
Yep, dead right, Nails. You called it. Duck your head, you're gone for all money. You just lose the protection of the umpire.
So James just pops it out in front of Pascoe. The strength couldn't get away from Northeast. The ball's put to ground by Ashley. In there is Taylor. Taylor has Loeffler inside. Good balance by Taylor. Puts the ball up high. Carter comes in and takes a strong mark.
Carter.
Got a hand it to Carter. He gives a bit out, but he takes a bit as well, and he puts his body on the line every time.
Yeah, good comment. Now look at that. It's all work for them. Bound, straightens up, and gee, if they can go into half-time, they enjoy a 27-point lead, the Redlegs, and you just wonder how the second half's going to unfold, because this is exactly where Port Adelaide were last week.
Yeah, no different at all at Prospect Oval, but Norwood, you just think they've got more influential players in the midfield. Brett James, 20 touches to half-time, has been absolutely magnificent in setting it up. Robert Neal, fantastic in the forward line there, and they just really are running hard.
And Coach Stephen Williams pointing Damien Brown into the middle just to take the bounce, and then you'll see Chalmers come back on the ball.
Ball's down again, taken out of the air. He's done that a few times this afternoon, Sanford. It's a high ball. Where's Pascoe? He's there! What a mark! Big Lenny Pascoe, 105 kilogram. Kick 3, I've been told here. Have a look at the strength and the size of this man. Was that a mark or was that a mark, David Mackay?
Well, he's had 2 opponents for most of the second quarter, and they know that this is the fellow who can turn the game for the Redlegs.
Hassery lines up for 4. Has he enough control on the boot? He has. That's another one to the Redlegs.
We said at the start of the game he's got to kick 6 or 7 for them to win. He's kicked 4 to half-time. And just again, we see that Neal gets his body in the right spot and gives Pascoe a better jump at the ball. Tough buddy work there, got it out of the way. Archie had no chance to jump at that. Pascoe over the top. Big outstretched arms of the 6'6". More importantly, finishes off, and that's exactly what he's done all day.
4 goals to Pascoe. What a blowout. 33 points. You just question whether the famous Magpie spirit can reel in this Redlegs, who are taking it up to him. This is an epic encounter, and it won't make up for them losing last year's grand final, but gee, you can just feel the electricity on the field amongst these players.
It's not only that, it keeps their season alive. They're just in the 5 at the moment. It's anyone's game, and they realise that this is just a true measuring stick as to where they are with this season this year.
The Redlegs have got their game face on. They're focused, as you have to be, to take on Port Adelaide. Doors around the corner. The crowd called for a free kick on Taylor, and the umpire agreed. Play on, said the umpire, as Doreen from 48 drills it. The finish is just wide and through for a point. So it's 10-6, 66, 8. 32, a 34-point margin in favour of the Redlegs at halftime, who really have played a brand of football in the first half of this match that we haven't seen this year.
Yeah, right from the word go, they've been absolutely magnificent. Port Adelaide got back into it late into the first quarter, but Norwood came out straight away through Neil, got one within the first minute or two, and just that quarter, absolutely fantastic. We see Sanford crashing through in defence. Doreen and Bassett were running hard, and Cotton got back on top of Fraser, and Norwood were just absolutely magnificent in there. Cunningham, Cotton, we see there on the screen, was very good, and Neville Roberts would be absolutely delighted with that. But the thing about it is he's got to realise that Port Adelaide have been in this position so many times, they cannot afford to take their foot off the pedal. He'd be just in there pumping them up, and good sides like Port Adelaide come back, and that's what he's got to tell his Redlegs players to expect.
So at half-time in the ABC match of the day, Norwood at 10-6-66, Port Adelaide at 4-8-32. It's a 34-point margin. Hope you're enjoying this at home on the ABC network.
The bounce down to start the third quarter here at Norwood Oval. We see Sanford again. He's done that a few times this afternoon, trying to pluck the ball out of the air, then break tackles and give off to running smaller players going past. Again, Sanford, Chalmers just gives him a little nudge. Good work. A chance. Good tackle from behind. Looked like Fraser, maybe Waite. A little bit too aggressive, the umpire believes. And the free kick comes up to Dawes. Matty Dawes looks for Bound up forward. He comes out, around and around the Bound he goes. Comes in. Fraser, quick kick. Good mark taken by Cotton. Hadn't gone far enough. The umpire calls play on a great kick by Cotton. Oh, what a courageous mark by Loeffler.
Yeah, he called it right there, Mark. Eyes only for the ball. He knew that Archie and Neil were going to come storming out. Sign of a good player. Kept his eyes on the footy and took an excellent, courageous mark. Now he's just got to go back and make sure that he finishes off his good work.
For Darren Loeffler, his first shot at goals this afternoon. It's a terrible kick. It hasn't even made the distance, but in the front of the pack is Nil, Robbie Nil. He's already kicked two in that second quarter. He's lining up for his third. He's only had 3 kicks and 1 handball, but gee, he's looked dangerous all afternoon. Fairly tight angle, has been picked up by Archie, straightens up a bit, then kicks around his body. He thumps his fist into the air, gets congratulated by his player. Another goal to the Redlegs. They're 11-6-72. Extend their lead over the Magpies on 4-8-32.
5 kicks, 3 goals. Big influence on the game, but not only that, it's just the little things he's done in the forward line, the bullocking, the shepherding, the little tap outs, the assistance to Pascoe. And that's why they've been such a good combination together, the two of those today.
40 points to margin, 11-6 to 4 goals, 8. Port Adelaide need to mount a challenge. The Redlegs have taken control of this match. Chalmers thumps it down. Fraser couldn't take control. Sanford punched it forward. Burgon did well, thumped it back. But Cunningham pushes it forward, just a little toe poke. Carter cuts it off, gathers the ball and fights for it with Dawes.
The thing about Norwood today is they've asserted their authority very early in every quarter. They've kicked the first goal within the first couple of minutes in the first, second and third quarter, and they're just making sure that Port Adelaide don't get a sniff. Chalmers don't get an opportunity to get some confidence.
Gives it a big thump. Cotton, whose first quarter and a bit was quite terrific. Dawes started on the interchange bench, now coming on roving, turns it around the corner and out of bounds on the full.
Neville Roberts there just working out what he needs to do just to make sure that they maintain the momentum, making sure he's got his matchups right.
Carter wishes to play on. He's got players out wide, and Archie, is the kick good? I think it is. And go over the top now to Fegan. He's got Northeast running down from a half back line. He comes inboard across to Fegan. Fegan will just get onto his left leg. The kick's not good. The mark should be taken, and it is by Bassett. They've got players on the other side of the field by themselves. If you can just get to the cross, comes into the middle of the ground. Cotton has to sit on.
Oh, he's taken
Plays on quickly. It's a high ball. Where's Neil? Where's Archie? Archie out in front. Knocks the ball forward. Cunningham held without the football. Umpire calls play on.
Now they've been consistent all day. We're not paying Tiggy Touchwoods today.
David Brown up forward. Overrun by Doreen. Sanford goes back. He needs to give off to the running quicker player. There's a little bit of movement off the football here. Looks like there's Luke Godden. He's doing a little bit of work there with Matthew Ashley. Good handball over the top. Gives time again. Well, he handballs it again.
Got to kick it now.
Number 11 and Brett James wants to give the handball again. He's all of a sudden put a bit of pressure under Gallagher. The ball spilled free again. Ashley's in there over the top. Good work by Chalmers. Good work by Julian White. Well, Dawes
well done.
Gives it off to Bassett. Bassett just needs to set the ball up nicely. The mark should be taken by Taylor.
Well, you can't afford to relax when you're playing against Port Adelaide. Taylor just eased off a little bit to float into the mark, and Feagit made him pay.
Well, he committed himself, put himself in the front position and got the free. That's what I thought. I didn't think he let up at all. Just didn't take the mark.
Taylor kicks it up high. They want the marking strength up there. Good work by Bound. Gives it across to Neil. Neil over his shoulder as he kicked another one. He's second for the quarter. That's his 4. It's hit the post. Oh, how close was that?
It's got the inside of the post there. Stephen Williams would have to have a look at Neil. Getting far too much of the footy. Set up there from the throw in there, all on his own. No one checking. They've got to tighten up Port Adelaide. Been too loose.
Northeast. Wide to Fraser, who's drifted out of the game.
Been very quiet.
Well, he's had a tagging role.
He was good last week, yeah, but Cotton still had an influence. So he's got to get closer to him and run with him.
Sanford, who's been terrific today, and as we go down to Michael Parsons, another Port Adelaide change.
Yes, Mad Dog Morgan coming back on for Troy Bond. And also sitting on the bench is Sam Filippo, and the doctor's working feverishly on the left ankle, so obviously a problem there for the Port Adelaide full forward.
That was strength.
Taylor,
David,
who kicked 4 last week, turns it around the corner, but he's missed.
Oh, that was strength by Pascoe. He just took on that back line. Broke free, didn't he, Andrew, and just gave the ball off to Taylor. Taylor should have done more with that kick.
Yeah, had an opportunity there to convert some form of score.
Northeast comes back inside, chips the ball up high. Where's the marking? Here's Brosnan.
Oh, good mark. He's going to pay it. He had enough of that. Had enough of control of that footy. Plays a lot taller than what he is, Brosnan. Been pretty quiet today. Hasn't had the opportunity. Bowman's been good.
Got Brown in short. Brosnan goes over the top. Can see Smith coming out. Big thump by Fleming from behind. Good shot. Roving there by Cunningham. Ball spills loose. Over the top of that's Mad Dog Morgan. Just sits upon the football and the Norwood player. And the free kick being found here between Bowman and also Brosnan. Interference. Bowman quickly boot the ball. Sets Carter up. Loeffler from behind. Spoils the football. In there is Taylor. Needs support. Obbs over the top of the ball now. Incoming in was Vines. Vines gives it back to Loeffler. Loeffler inside to Cunningham.
Oh!
Cunningham's taken.
Oh!
Has to be holding the ball. It is.
Took him on, and the umpires have been consistent with that.
He was right there. Good tackle from Carter. Got him a little bit high early.
Carter's hurt, straight off the ground.
Thanks, Michael, for that. Brown, the skipper, trying to mount a challenge for Port Adelaide. Lachlan Bowman in front, takes the mark.
This is where Norwood have been strong all day. Port Adelaide hadn't been able to penetrate their half-forward line with the likes of Bowman, Sanford dropping back and Doreen running off with Bassett.
Bowman's playing a great game, as Andrew Page has just told you. Bound from behind, brings the ball forward. Cunningham fights hard for it with David Brown. Loose ball falls to Fraser, forced out. Here they come charging out, and Obbs was committed. So too was Carr, and Obbs has won himself a free kick.
This is a very emotional game of football out there at the moment. You can feel it up here in the commentary box. It must be like fire down there at ground level. Obbs looks for Pascoe. He's 5 deep. The spoil's down. It's going to favour McGuinness. He'll be taken by Cunningham. Just wait for him to pick the ball up. Good tackle from behind by Neil on Clayton. The umpire indicates didn't have time to get rid of it. Comes in quickly. We see Carter down there. We may go to Michael Parsons, who is down at ground level.
Mark, all I can tell you is what you see on your screen in that the left or the right knee is getting some attention. So that's now 2 out of 3 of the players sitting on the bench for Port Adelaide are in a little bit of physical trouble.
Clayton seems to have gone from the forward line to defence. They're trying to bolster their defensive stocks. Morgan dragged away from it. Play on to the umpire. Bowman starring at centre-half back and really growing a leg in this third term. The kick was good to Dawes. Now it's Gallagher, whose first quarter and a half was also tremendous. He was playing on weight at the time and killed him. Burgoyne, a rookie. Over the top goes McGuinness in the double play. It's working for Port Adelaide and they drill it towards Brown, who's gone to centre-half forward to try and fill a hole for the Magpies. And I guess the target here is to rough up Bowman and put him off the game.
Won't matter much. He's been right on his mantle today. He's just attacking the footy hard. Not only that, he's just setting it up from defence. Norwood have got loose players everywhere here.
They can create the loose play, as you heard. They'll come back inside. Now we're in trouble. The Redlegs just need to chip the ball up, set it up again. Taylor will take this out front of Clayton. Good work by Clayton from behind. The ball's still in. They have time to settle. Clayton will turn the football over. The kick's out front of Brown wasn't good. In fact, it's over the boundary line. Will be thrown in about 25-30 metres out from the Magpies' goals.
In other matches around town this afternoon, Central by 104 points over North. Well, the Bulldogs are good. They've arrived west by 29 points over Sturt. The Double Blues are in the horrors. And Central by 104 points. Thank you again.
Once again, we've called that one. Just in case you didn't see it.
Oh, Gallagher does well. Doing just as well as Wade. He throws the football out. Quickly on the boot there was Fegan. It's a high ball. Good use of the body here by Chalmers. McGuinness, he's kicked a couple around the body today. Dawes is back there. Needs to go wider with the football. This time he does. Gallagher, the little speedster, will take off. As Obbs, 30 metres a foot, couldn't quite get there. Bound does. Loeffler, it's over the top of his head. This will favour Burgoyne. Loeffler comes in, just knocks the ball back, uses his strength, gives it back to Cunningham. Cunningham dodges, weaves, tries to get around the players, has Cotton inside, and pinpoint passes find him. Good kick. It's up again, the Pasco. He's pushed in the back. Umpire calls play on. Again, we see working hard down was James. Gives it back to Obbs. Obbs stops, steadies, straightens, and kicks his first goal for the day. Fellas, Norwood are on top.
Sign of a confident side there and a confident player. Obbs didn't worry about going back. Saw the opening there and just played on. But the skills of Brett James and his creativity through the middle, he has been fantastic. Loves the handball, as we know. Gets an opportunity to kick it and finds a teammate. Obbs didn't want to worry about going back, just played straight on. Brett James, 18 handballs, 6 kicks, 24 touches, and we're 10 minutes into the third quarter. Something must be done to try and curb his influence. And David, we've seen it before. At what stage into the game do you say that Port Adelaide are gone?
Never. 47 points is the margin.
Well, you've heard it.
They're never gone, Port Adelaide. I've seen them here, by the way, fellas. 5 goals down, time on in the last quarter, and get up and win. It has happened, and they are that type of team.
Stephen Carter's gone, though, gentlemen. He's gone down to the change rooms, probably to get some stitches in, a cut above the eye, but also to have some treatment on that right knee.
Thanks, Michael, for that.
You get the feeling that Port Adelaide have got to start to make a bit of a inroad into the scoreboard pretty quickly.
What's actually happening there?
Put some pressure on them. Norwood have been fantastic all over the ground.
Crowding their forward line, Port Adelaide. They've had 2 big blokes and they've given Smith no room. Fegan went to play on. Now that might have... No, you're just common sense applies.
I don't know.
Go back and let him take the kick. Well, they just collided.
I suppose he was over his mark as well, wasn't he? So it was a good decision.
Look, I think the umpire's probably been as good as we've seen it. Well done, North East. He was very good.
Tried to play on. Good kick.
And there it's working for them. Now, Brown just comes out. Now, Brosnan's drifted back. Smith, and it goes the other way this time. Now, Smith had to keep going and create the space. They're stopping. I don't think he's fit, the big fella, and he's creating his own problems. Because he just had the hole to go into.
It's a fair call, David. He should have kept the lead going to try and create that vacuum behind. Brown then tips the ball into there and gives an opportunity for Brosnan to take a catch.
Spot on. So I think it's a structural problem for Port Adelaide. The big men fly. It's up, it's down, it's a goal. Thank you very much. Good night. And Port Adelaide just get that one back.
Speak of the devil.
And he's kicked
No
it.
wonder he didn't leave the square.
Look, he didn't
have to. No, you did right. He doesn't look fit. He hasn't been able to move around, but gets a lucky one there, just over the back, lands in his lap. converts from nowhere.
He would have been expected to fly though, Paisley, and the little fellas are expected to stay down.
He's obviously not right, is he?
17, 12-7, 79. The Magpies 5-8, 38. We still have a game on our hands. Up goes Chalmers, up goes Sanford. Alfie Steed across to Clayton. Clayton goes out wide with the football. Going back is Doreen with it. Lockie Bowman, nearly plugged a miraculous mark from nowhere. Gives it back to Fleming. In fact, it's Bassett. Bassett high ball will set Wade up. Wade just sits and waits and takes the mark. Julian. What can he do? He goes up again. Bassett over the top of Brosnan. The hands are in the back. The umpire didn't believe it was enough. Pays the mark to Brosnan. Now, the distance is not a problem, as he hurt himself going up for that. I think he may have just twisted an ankle coming down.
With hands like that, you just wonder, we've seen him do it time and time again, why he's not used more frequently by Mark Williams at Port Power. He's the type of player that they're looking for, a creative forward with some strength and some height. Someone that can kick a goal.
I think fundamentally they've taken a decision between Chad Corns and Brosnan, and I think they're working on developing Corns.
Well, Treadway's the main focus there, and you've also got Harwood at full forward.
Brosnan, it's a high ball. It's straight enough in my book. Umpires on the line. The flags are flying. The streamers are going. So the Maggies get another one on the board.
When are the Magpies gone, Paisley?
It was only a question. It was only a question. I said, when are they gone? I said they needed to make some scoreboard pressure, get a couple of quick ones, and that's exactly what they've done. And Norwood have just got to keep running, keep doing the things that have got them to the position where they are now. You cannot afford to let up for one bit against this side.
15 and a half minutes into the third term. Port Adelaide are back within 4 goals, so they're giving themselves a chance. That one's too high. The umpire picked that one out, and they go forward again.
And they're starting to get it out of the middle too.
Now, what's changed in
Chalmers, as we mentioned before, is pushing forward hard. He's the guy with a superior fitness over Sanford.
Big fly. Oh, that's the mark of the year so far.
Whoa.
That is the mark of the year so far.
They're up again.
James. We'll see it, Nails. Don't worry. We'll get to see that at three-quarter time, if not before. Ashley swings it inboard. McGuinness did very well. Forced it far and wide. Big fly Brosnan. Thumped it down to Morgan. That was an intended punch, and he did it pretty well. Morgan turns around the corner, and Bassett, in front of Brown, has taken the defensive mark for the Redlegs. Plays on, releases Kemp. He lifts the eyes and just drills it hard and low, and Crouch has come off the bench and onto the field with fresh legs.
We'll make it down to Michael Parson. The change was made. Crouch is on. Who's off?
You spoke about the fitness level of Glenn Sanford. He's making the most of his rest on the bench.
They're going to need him in the final term. Steed forward. Well, interference. Smith gets it down. Handball away. Morgan, who started on the bench, gets a long handball forward. Brosnan did very well, protected himself, but
they've done it well all day, Norwood. Just bottled him up.
What haven't we seen today? We've seen some magnificent goals. We've seen a couple of spectacular marks by Norwood players.
We haven't seen a melee.
We've seen the two big fellas front on each other. We've seen some great tackling. We've seen some great skill level by some of these players this afternoon. They go again. That's one of them in James. Outstanding game so far in this game. It comes across. Where's Cunningham? He's in a quiet one. He needs to get involved now. Good spoil from behind.
Neville Roberts, he realised that Sanford just languishing a little bit. He's played terrific all day, no question about that. Just had to bring some fresh legs onto the midfield and save him up for the last quarter.
Well, he had no choice, Neville, did he? He had his two big ruckmen in Newbury out injured, and so too Aaron Keating. So Sanford was the only big tall. Perhaps Stuart Bounds a chance, but he's doing his job at half forward.
We'll soon find out. He's gone in the ruck now.
9-1 this term to Port Adelaide in terms of hit-outs. So Chalmers gets another one, pushes it forward. Steed runs onto it. The boundary line will be his friend. No, it won't.
Well
Turns around the corner. Morgan, just sheer strength. Scotty Doreen. There's a couple of experienced campaigners. Old war horses. Brown thumps it down. Clever work, Crouch, but couldn't find Doreen. Off the ground went Ashley
Matthew.
Good on you. Hey, it is exciting. It's tense here, and just the Redlegs. And what's the scoreboard saying, fellas? It's 6 goals, 8, so it's 6 goals the difference. What were we saying before? 4.
Well, you were.
Sorry, but I looked at the scoreboard, it was wrong. Steed goes long, touched off hand and through for a behind.
Fleming's played a fair game, hasn't he? Just being able to run off the full forward. Poppy Smith not fit. Seen him take some spectacular marks. He's just done everything well. Fleming would have to be high amongst the best players for Norwood.
Comes out towards Bassett. We saw another change just made there. Brown coming off, Phillippo coming back on. Big kick by Bassett. High. Where's Bound? He's pushed under the football. Crouches up there with him. Good work by Cotton, knocking the ball forward. Comes back from Carr. Sets up. Lockie Bowman knocks it down to Kemp. He doesn't. McGuinness read it beautifully round the body. Has he brought it back far enough? I don't think he has. So another behind to the Magpies there, peppering the goal square. 6-10-46.
Certainly kicked 9 out of 10 of those. He would have been disappointed with that, Phil.
Gee, these boys going to have any petrol left for this last quarter. This really is one of the toughest contests we've seen all season.
Hold the ball.
Dead right. Don't argue that one.
Had a fair opportunity to get rid of that one.
Yeah, if you want to see ugly ball-ups all winter, tell them not to play that one. I reckon that's dead right. Wait. To Smith, uncontested chest mark, and he just had a little hesitation.
Well, that's why the coach is playing front, doesn't he? I mean, you get a mongrel kick, tried to kick the top, lands in front, Smith in the right position, snaffles an easy one.
We could see the disappointment on Fleming's face because he's held Smith beautifully. He's had Phillippo as another opponent, and he'd held both goalless. Smith got one off the back of the pack moments ago and lines up now for his second, and he comes in, he kicks it, he likes it. It's a good kicking action. He's pretty accurate, he's deadly. And Porter 7-10, Norwood 12-7.
It's their third on the trot without a reply from Norwood. It's just getting back to these centre bounces here in control of the midfield. David Brown starting to get his hands on the footy. Chalmers has been terrific this quarter. 10 hit outs to 1. He's jumping all over them in the centre bounces. And Port Adelaide have just got that little sniff, haven't they? They can sense an opportunity to get back into the game.
27-point margin. Ball be put down. Bound against Chalmers. He's been jumping at everything. As Chalmers taken out of the air by Cotton. Quick hands inside to Cunningham. Goes across to Gallagher. Try to find the player, and James out wide of James. Impeccable skills. Great kick, finds Loeffler. So Loeffler needs to get it in. Pascoe screams out from full forward. If the ball hasn't carried far enough, this will favour Pascoe on this occasion. Over the top is Northeast. He needs to get the ball out. He sockers the ball forward somehow. James will take this before it goes out over the line. Handball's in board to Gallagher. Gallagher needs to straighten up. Left leg kicks the top of the square. Where is he? He's there in Robbie Neal. He takes another mark. He's kicked 3. Lines up for his 4th.
Norwood need a steadying influence, and look who bobs up. Brett James again setting that up through the midfield. Impeccable skills, as Mark Nailey called it. Just his work to create the ball into that forward zone has been absolutely fantastic.
Well, for here the response from the crowd, it's another major to the Redlegs. It's just a steady one for him, puts them on to 13 goals, 7. Magpies still on 7-10.
And Courier Chief, fellas, is probably having that nightmare game before the selection of the stateside, looking for a full back. I think that's probably number 6 for the man that he's been standing, is it?
Fair point.
2 to Pascoe in the opening term, and he's 4 now to Robbie Neal.
And if you've just joined us from Darwin, the Redlegs against the Tide of 13-7 to 7-10. 22 and a half minutes into the third term. They led by 9 points at quarter time, the Redlegs, and 34 points at half time. Pascoe's kicked 4 and Neal's kicked 4, and they've only had 10 kicks between them, the key Redleg forwards. At the other end, Philip Smith, the Port Adelaide full forward, we believe is not fit, but he's kicked a couple this term to keep Port Adelaide in the contest, and Phil McGuinness has 3.
13-7's a terrific return. Just an indication of how they played today, Norwood. They've been very clean and precise up forward. They've made the most of their opportunities.
Well, if Norwood win this game this afternoon, may take the Magpies off the top of the premiership table, with both the Eagles and also Centrals with big margins over their respective sides this afternoon. As we see Brosnan just holding the left calf, maybe just getting a little bit of cramp at this stage of the game. We see Carter coming back on, and Danny Morgan having a rest. So the free kick there now to Brosnan. 85 plays 52. We've played nearly 24 minutes into this third quarter. And what a ripper of a game we've seen this afternoon. It has been outstanding. Here's Brosnan, the concentration. The left shoulder heavily strapped. Just taking a little bit of cramp. He takes 4 steps, puts it high into the air. Is he controlled it enough? I think he might have. The flags are waving once again. Another major to Brosnan. That's his second. Fraser going 40. We just see it Waite just sets it up high.
Well, let's have a look at this one, Mark. Let's see whether this is a free, because the umpires have been pretty consistent all day. Now that, no.
We didn't see the whole incident, but it was what we saw towards the end there didn't indicate to me that there was much in that.
No, it was soft and incidental contact, and Brosnan sold it pretty well. The umpires haven't played anything soft today. It's been a wonderful exhibition of umpiring. And the AFL could take a leaf out of their book, fair dinkum. Dawes to Crouch on the left boot towards half forward. He goes inside the 50. Archie was up. Big spoil, thumps the ball forward. Loeffler was there in the immediate vicinity, but he couldn't quite get to the contest. James to Gallagher. Gallagher got a push as he disposed of that one. It's Cunningham now, skirting around and doing it pretty well. He got around Carr very easily. Towards full forward, it's Pascoe up. One-handed attempt, Neil off the ground. The kick was smothered and Northeast fights hard for it. Over the top of him comes Taylor. Now it's Vines. Slick little handball. Archie needs to release it. He goes towards the boundary line. It's a bit of a mongrel, but it's running right towards the line. Oh, well done, Cotton. Held his nerve and his courage was terrific under fire. Bound, inside 50, push off and Taylor's got it. Well, he did pretty well on Clayton because Clayton's a tough competitor. And Taylor, who kicked 4 goals last week against South, lines up for the Redlegs.
What they've been able to do, Norwood, is just stem that tide. Port Adelaide get the run on, kick 3 unanswered goals, but Norwood have just been able to recapture the momentum here. Some terrific play from Cotton there to keep the ball in play. And this young lad in Taylor certainly has played better than a serviceable game and done his fair share for the Redlegs today.
27 points the margin currently. This is an important kick for the rookie. Only 8 games to his credit prior today. And marked by Pascoe. Well, we mentioned it before, haven't we, Paisley? Like, he's had a day out 2 weeks ago, kicked 8 goals, 3 in his 100th, and today he looks like he could replicate it.
He's done exactly the same thing, and it's just what Norwood needed. And they've used him pretty well. He's got himself into the right position every time.
And he's kicked 5 goals straight, so 5 without a miss to the big full forward, and he's having the time of his life.
He certainly is there. Norwood just maintaining that ascendancy. They're right back in it after Port Adelaide just showed signs of what we thought that they can do, and that's just get back into the game. But Pascoe, he's just been a real thorn in Port Adelaide's side, and they haven't been able to find the right matchup for him. Started with Archie and now with Northeast, and he's given them both a touch-up.
91 plays 58. We're nearly the 27-minute mark of this third quarter. Brown over the top of the umpires, found a free kick. Will come back to Alfie Steed. He takes it, the black and white mouth guard firmly implanted in the top layer of his jaw. Mark taken well by Dawes. Hits the ground, wants to get the ball up forward quickly. Goes out wide for Crouch. A valuable contributor, solid, tough, hard at the football type player is Crouch. Crouch, inboard, Gallagher. Be high amongst the best players this afternoon. Comes across now. Cotton and Brown have played very wide of each other this afternoon. I do believe, Andrew, that Cotton, the better of the duel so far in this game.
Don't think there's any doubt about that. He had Fraser running for him with a while in that first half, and he touched him up. Now he's just continuing that momentum in the third quarter.
Burgoyne spins out of trouble, did that pretty easily in the finish. But the kicker's wasteful, and Bowman, who's having the game of his life at centre-half back, marks.
Well, this bloke's got to rank pretty highly amongst Norwood best players. Pretty difficult to split here. There's another one in Fleming who's created so much run from defence.
Well, the whole back
probably
six.
Understanding that his opponent, I beg your pardon, is injured in Smith, and really capitalising on that.
Clayton front position, tried to juggle it. Carr gathers it in. Off it goes to Figa. Great smother. Oh no, it wasn't smothered, it was pressured. And it was out of bounds on the full.
They set the tone right from the very first minute of the game, Norwood. Their defending players, Bassett and also Fleming, were found in the goal square of Port Adelaide from about the first minute of the game. So they said very, very early, we are going to run hard all day, and they've continued to do that for 3 quarters.
Obst On the grandstand wing, wants to take Vines on, goes further afield to Dawes. Dawes quickly back onto the right boot, kicks up towards Neil. There's a push in the back, the umpire calls play on. Matthew Ashley goes wide with the kick. The thumping thighs of Paul Northeast can't quite get to the contest. He ends up with the football. The concentration level of Northeast couldn't hear the three-quarter time siren. He does now. And Andrew Pace, I know it's an early call, but Norwood, the underdogs of today's contest, may topple the top side in the Magpies.
I just think the quality there that shone out with Norwood is that they were able to arrest back Port Adelaide gained for just that small period of time in that third quarter where they got 3 unanswered goals. But Norwood, to their credit, stuck to their guns and just kept plugging away. And when they needed their real class players stood up. Cotton and James created havoc in the midfield, got the ball in quickly and efficiently through to Pascoe, who we've said before has just been unstoppable there at full forward along with Neil. And as we mentioned during the call, I think they've had about 11 kicks between them for a return of 9 goals, so you can't do any better than that, David.
Well, three-quarter time scores indicate the Redlegs, they're 14-7, 91. The Magpies, 8-10, 58. And you're watching the action live and exclusive to ABC Sport. .30 minutes of play left in this game. Last year's grand finalists up against each other. This time, the Redlegs in front. Chalmers, first touch of the footy again, down to Cotton. Remarkable game this afternoon, out towards Crouch. He's in front of Burgoyne, just taps the ball forward. Burgoyne wearing the famous number 7 jumper worn by the 4-time McGarry medalist in Russell Ebert. Kicks the ball up forward again, good use of the body, it's loose ball. Alfie Steed should get to it first, he doesn't. Good defence again to Bowman. Bowman needs support, they've got a loose player again. Working out wide, it's Cotton. Cotton sets it up forward again, out front is Neil, he uses the body, good work by Archie at the back. Carter comes in, back to Archie, again, good cut off there by Mad Dog Morgan. Left hand hits the ground, puts a fair bit of pressure on the car, but he's very elusive and kicks the ball up forward once again. High ball, Brosnan touches it, knocks it forward and then takes the ball out of the air. It's paid the mark. So Brosnan just sets things up, going back hard with Smith. Philippo's up there, runs around. Bowman puts himself now from 50. The kick's a wobbly one. It's enough distance. I don't think he has. At the back with Smith, nearly cleaned up again. Good use of the hands there. Nearly gave Smith another goal. Coming out is Matty Dawes.
Dawes gives it off to the runner in Kemp. He explodes from half-back, releases it over the top. The target was James, just a little long for that player. He runs onto it, scragged by Burgoyne. Play on, said the umpire, and that one's across the line. We're a minute and a half into the final term, and watch Port Adelaide in the first 5 or 6 minutes, Paisley, mount the challenge.
No question about that, but what about the desperation of Norwood in the goal square there? Neville Roberts has given them a warning. He said they are going to come out tough and hard in the first 10 minutes. If we can hold them there and gain some momentum, we're going to come out with the points. But it was beware, beware, beware.
He said they'd come out smoking. That's exactly what they do. In the other matches around town this afternoon, the Eagles by 80 points over Glenelga, good morale boost, and West by 51 points over Sturt, Do You Mind, and Central. Well, there's a percentage boost. North Adelaide, well, what about it?
It's going to be a bottleneck at the top of the ladder there. Port Adelaide quite clearly in front on percentage, but the Eagles
1%
and Central's huge percentage wins today, and Norwood, after today, if they get over the line, look like they can cement a spot in the 5 there with points and percentage.
Bowen and Chalmers go for the tap in. It's at the ground level as Obbs. Dawes has done well since he's come on. Desperation there again by Burgoyne. He's tackled high. The runners come out. Carr wants to give the ball across to McGuinness. He'll be tackled now. The umpire calls play on. Lucky Bowman came from somewhere. From the shadows here of Norwood Oval. Dawes, quick hands inboard. James. Umpire plays the advantage, now realises the mistake that he's made, will bring the ball back. And Bowman well up from half-back flank. The ball will come back to Matty Dawes. 91-58, 3 minutes into this last quarter. The first goal by Norwood would nearly seal this game.
Matthew Dawes' mark's been good since he came on. 19 touches. Really has done a good job in the midfield for Norwood.
Cunningham plays on quickly. drives it towards full forward. Where's Pascoe? Not under the contest. Chalmers there, brings it forward. Carter got through 3 red leg opponents. Clayton, who's been moved back into defence to bolster everything up, does pretty well. Second effort was good, couldn't still get it clear of the contest, but caught one and the umpire's given him a free.
You can't fault the attack by Norwood there. They really are having a go, trying to force the mistake by the Magpies. Soft free kick.
It's deja vu for Neil.
What about that comment, Mark Nayley? As Waite goes hard at the contest, comes in over the top, big bear hug, I'm in love. And that's on the ball. No attempt, no, you jump on him. Don't get it out. Consistency. That's all you ask for with umpires. Fair dinkum, and the crowd hate it.
How do you get the ball out? Tell me. The bloke's sitting on your back. How do you get the ball out?
You jump on it, it's your responsibility. If you don't, you're gone.
What, you don't go for the football?
And it's touched.
Don't be so ridiculous.
Well, you hatch it and you don't get it out. You're gone for all money. And they shouldn't be giving Rovers a whistle anyway. He dives on top, it drags it in. Now, once you drag it in,
get that out?
Once you drag it in, it's your problem. It's your problem. Don't worry about that.
We'll argue after the game.
Viewers, we were looking for a melee. We said it's the only thing we haven't seen. Well, there's one up here in the grandstand between these two. This is the best matchup I've ever seen. Nayley and Mackay.
Ball's knocked down. Mad Dog Morgan crashes out of the centre of the ground here. Puts it onto his right boot. Looks for McGuinness. He'll be taken here. Good work by Lockie Bowman from behind. Steadies himself. Straightens the body. Got a loose player in Taylor. Taylor, the ball needs to sit. He's got support inside. Goes it alone. Burgoyne nearly got to him. Comes into Cunningham. He's had a bit of a quiet afternoon. This could make amends if he brings the first major up in the last quarter. He does the short little strides. Both fists into the air. It's up. Goal to Cunningham. That's his first.
Great work there from Sanford in defence. Neville Roberts, good coaching move, gave him a rest 10 minutes into the third quarter, said, listen, big fella, we're going to need you in the last quarter when it's tough, hard and tough, and a bit of fresh legs there, rebounding off the half-back line. He's been terrific today, Sanford.
Change has been made again by Coach Stephen Williams. We may go down to Michael Parsons just quickly.
Yes, Troy Bond just coming back on for Tom Carr.
38 points the margin. You never know when you're safe against Port Adelaide, but the Redlegs are doing everything right. Umpire Richard Williams will come in and sort them out. Dawes at halfback is stretching. He's gone in the legs, the young fella.
Neville Roberts would have just said, weathers the storm for the first 10 minutes. You've got every opportunity to win the game.
Another pack, dragging it in underneath him and getting it out.
Bit quick.
Well, they've been pretty good all day. They've just let the players sort them out, and the ball has come out more often than not, and it's made for a great game. There's Sanford, whose first half against Chalmers was terrific. The Redlegs had no other rucking option. Sanford takes it out of the contest, can't get it out. Finally, it just bobbles out. Fraser steals it away, drives it towards half forward, a little bit of space where Godden, who's been very solid, is scragged. Play on, said the umpire. Doreen, who's been very good. Cotton, who's been one of their best. Fair dinkum. He has found plenty of the ball and has used it pretty well every time. Bound at centre half forward, has had a good battle with Feagott. Vines off a wing, really hasn't seen much of the ball, or really has used it as well as he could have. Carter's been strong, but that one was wasteful. And Sanford again.
Oh, Sanford had that rest in that third quarter, had the legs massaged. Just gave the mind a bit of time to relax. He's come out now as the ball goes forward to Kemp. Full of enthusiasm.
James has been best on by an absolute mile.
Well, early call. We've still got 20 minutes of football to go as we see Kemp thumping the ball up. Where's Pascoe? He's out the back, gets the one hand up. It's hit the behind post, so will be thrown in. Very close. We see Crouch coming off. And the youngster, Kane McLean, the 18-year-old, just in his third game of league football, but the Redlegs come back on.
Brosnan ran very heavily down in defence. And now he runs back to set the wall up. Bond over the top of that, ball held in.
Do you think of much out here? They got across here Bowman, also the big fella in Sanford, and also Cotton, just building that wall. It's going to be pretty tough for the Magpies to get it out on this grandstand wing.
Neil thumps it to the back door where Northeast relieves the pressure. Obst and Vines, been a pretty good battle, Paisley. Who do you see as the winner?
I think Obst has clearly won that duel.
Agree with you.
Got down and he's had a shot at goal, and I think he's converted one or two, but he certainly has won his wing clearly.
Yeah, he's got a goal. And James up in front marks.
I said it before, I mean, what's he had? 33 touches and used every one of them to absolute precision. Now he's taking high marks.
He's done everything today. He's had a day out for
Great
sure.
kick.
And the kick to Obst is centimetre perfect.
Sorry, Dennis.
Centimetre perfect.
Dennis Committee's just joined us in the commentary box, but no, Obst
Was a bloody good kick
superior
anyway,
fitness and pace, no question about that. Got down there and created the option. And should a player of his calibre convert from about 30 metres out on a slight angle.
22 possessions coming off the bench.
Vine's 15, so you'd have to say that he's won that duel.
TKO. And if he puts this through, he could almost knock Port Adelaide out and give them the KO. From 40 on an angle, and the goal umpire leans back. Umpire Corey Ogilvie leans back and says, good night, Port Adelaide.
Well, you say Port are never out of it. Is that the sealer? Is that the one?
The
is
way
that the
the
killer
legs,
blow, David?
the way the legs are playing, you just can't see them giving up control of the game, and that's what they'd have to do. They'd have to surrender for Port Adelaide to win from here.
That's exactly what Neville Roberts was saying at three-quarter time.
Fellas, you were talking about the duel on the outer wing. I think the coaches have made the call on who won that one. Paul Vines has just hit the pine, and Matthew Ashley has come on to see if he can control.
Good pick up,
Obst.
Michael.
I guess, Nails, the coaches really feel it when that's the finisher. We can't get back from here.
Yes.
Well, Stephen Williams would have dragged him because he realises you don't let your wingman get down there within 30 metres of goal in the last quarter when you're trailing by about 7 goals.
Dawes just puts it out again. Obst keeps running. He's got Ashley on him now. Kicks the ball up towards Cunningham. He's playing his best bit of football in this last quarter. Can see out the corner of his eyes. Taylor. Bradley Taylor. He's got Dawes inside. He's straightened up. He does. Comes back. Finds Matty Dawes. He's got a player if he wants to use him. Also McLean.
Nails, you've been a rap for Taylor today. He's been versatile. Played a bit in defence, and now he's moving up forward, creating havoc up there. So he's been a real find for Norwood today.
Well, one of our favourite sayings is a busy little player, and he has. He's been very busy, very creative, and just given plenty of options across the midfield up forward. And Dawes just puts his ball up high. As he brought it back, I don't think he has. The umpire's got that look on his face to indicate it's going to be a behind. And it is. So 16-8, 104, 8-11, 59.
Quick calculation, Nails. Looks like Norwood to me can jump into 4th position. The Eagles and Central, depending on their margins, will be 1 and 2. And you just think that they might have enough to relegate Port to 3rd position on the ladder. It was unthinkable just a couple of weeks ago. And I guess that we talk about Norwood's Waterloo as we did at the start of the game. Well, they've come to play today and they've won the battle and the war, and that's another big one. Sanford. Now, you've got to rate him highly amongst their best, but he's been off for a quarter. And Obst is still running.
Well, yes, they're running just confident now, Norwood.
Well, you think of the arse.
They can more than sense victory, and they're just making every opportunity count.
You know, only 2 weeks ago we thought nobody was going to challenge Port Adelaide for a grand final, and we saw such a classic encounter in last year's grand final. The Redlegs have re-emerged.
I think the point about it is a reality check for Port Adelaide. Stephen Williams has realised and acknowledged that they haven't played that well, but they've still been able to win in recent weeks. As we go to scoreboards from other grounds, we see the Eagles there versus Glenelg, but big win, 105 points there, massive margin. West Adelaide in what you could say is an upset, 45 points over Sturt, and at the other ground, Central just keep rolling along, 119 points in front of North.
So the Eagles will probably go top. Central will take 2nd, and Port will either be 2nd or 3rd, just depending on how the percentages.
Look how hard James is running to get to this football. He's just out there. He just created that option for his backline players. Then very cleverly comes back inside for another handball. Set up Cotton, comes down to Cunningham. Cunningham will come around the body. He does that. Neil and Archie. Neil had the better of that duel this afternoon. Carter out of sorts. He's got Taylor with him, sitting over top of the football. Carter breaks free of the tackle. McLean nearly got there to Burgoyne. This releases 24 for the Magpies. It was Bond, actually 54. As the sun's starting to set here on Norwood Oval. The wide kick. Northeast goes back, takes the mark, runs off the action. of North East. Gives the ball up to Fraser. Now, which way will Fraser go? He's got Filippo out wide. That's the direction. Going back hard is Bowman with the football. Knocks the ball down. Gallagher nearly took it. Coming back was Filippo. Back to Waite. Waite can see Smith up forward. But the kick's a bit long. And through the behind post for another score for the Magpies. They're 8 goals, 12-60. And they're 44 points down over the Redlegs. There's another change being made.
We go down to Michael Parsons.
Yeah, Stephen Williams still searching for key position players in the forward line that are working for him, and Damien Brown's come back on to centre-half forward to replace Sam Filippo, but in his defence, I don't think that ankle is holding up.
Michael, we might get you to think about your best players too, and we'll compare them with Paisley's because it's a real tough job today. Hobbs to start on the bench, gives it up to Burgoyne. Well, he hasn't done really anything wrong, fellas, today, but he's tight in the legs, he stretches. Chalmers misses it. Fraser to Brosnan is slung away, thrown out of the contest, and that umpire says throw it in, fellas. Well, there's some emotion stirring at Norwood Oval today. It's been tough footy, tough umpiring, and the fans really have got their money's worth.
No doubt about that. I think if you look at the Norwood side, it's who hasn't made a contribution. I can't come up with anyone.
Good point. Doreen, who set the tone early and played so wonderfully well in the first quarter, right when they needed a leader, he was amongst it with Cotton.
And an indication of that is that you'd probably say that Brett Chalmers has tried his absolute, off this afternoon and probably been clearly beaten by Sanford.
Interesting. It's been a tough one to call, that one. We might ask Michael Parsons to adjudicate that. The big ruckman knows everything about the rucks. Jack Oatey medalist from 1987, as Gallagher's also played well. To Taylor, he's emerging as a player. He looks an exciting prospect. He runs hard and he's tough. He ducked Gallagher, play uncalled, the umpire, rightly so. Out it goes to McLean, pushed out of the contest by Burgoyne. Well, he's done all right. Carter's been pretty good. Carter's been amongst the better players for Port Adelaide, clearly. Drops it into the hole. Back comes Sanford, did pretty well. Forced Smith to compete 2-on-1 in the contest. Fleming's been very good. Dawes fights Smith for it. He tried to kick it off the ground, and Brown did it. Brown got it and gets his first.
With David Brown, he's had 20 touches and a goal there. He hasn't stopped trying all day. Certainly has been eclipsed today in the midfield from his opponents, Cunningham and Cotton, but we just see there Smith, good effort to keep the ball moving forward there. Brownie in the right position, kicks through a goal.
They go to Michael Parsons once again, another change been made.
Yeah, so I think it's that time of the day where you just give your blokes that have been sitting down for a long time a bit of a run as Brad Taylor comes off to make some space for Scott Borlase.
Tackle from behind by Bowman. Should have been rewarded. Dawes is in there fighting tooth and nail as we see the big Bowman and also Brown.
Lockie got a couple of quick ones in there just quietly.
So the umpire just blows time back on. There's a lot of players just milling around this bounce up. It'll be down. Brown wants to go for it. Bassett won't let him. Comes back to Brosnan. Brosnan kicks it up. Luke Godden will get there first in front of Clayton, and quite happy just to pat the ball back over the line.
Reality check for Port Adelaide today. Obviously missing the influence of Tregenza, Ormond Allen, and also Ricky O'Loughlin in the middle last week, who was terrific. They just haven't been able to replace that today.
Well, you look at Norwood, they've got players of the calibre of Harvey to come back into the side. You've also got Yerbury and also Aaron Keating, just to add a bit of height, just to release the pressure from Sanford. As I was going to say before, the ask before the game of Sanford has been taken up. As we see, McGuinness gets it forward. Bowman over the line, just realised, took a bit of pressure off the back line players, just walks it through for another rush behind. He looks to give the ball to somebody who can kick it. I think you might need to take it yourself, Lachlan. Nobody else wants to come back into the goal square.
And you think about the Redlegs.
Anybody to kick the ball. The umpire will blow his whistle shortly.
We think about the Redlegs, Mark. We've got the state game next week. Just lose a little bit of momentum because Neville Roberts, the Redleg coach, would be charged up after this one today.
Well, we've got game on the Monday. A full round of football. It's been a great contest. This season really unfolding. It's one of the closest we've witnessed for a number of years. Good spoil again from behind by Bowman on Brosnan.
It's been disciplined.
Again forces the result. of a behind.
16-8 to 9 goals 14. Comprehensive win this one to the Redlegs.
And Dale Fleming just sitting down with an injury to his hip, probably a corky, but we'll check that out.
Down Cotton, couldn't quite control it. Mad Dog Morgan's over the top. The umpire is saying that he's been pushed in the back. Oh, the Norwood clan here. The Chardonnay centre, we see they're now serving Chardonnay in the boxes here, David.
And they've made the most of their opportunities. 17-8 is a fantastic scoreline, indicative of the way that they've used the ball.
29 possessions to Gallagher.
And 2 goals, so that's a great contribution from a wing.
The Redlegs still going on with it. 17-8, 110. The Magpies 9-15, 69. Chalmers well up over the top of Sanford there, starting to tire. Brown around his body. Up forward, Brown led to the ball again by Bowman. The handball slick, comes back inside to Obbs. Obbs sets up Sanford, the big frame. Obbs again, just paddles the ball across, ends up with James. James can smell a player out wide. Didn't look, just smelled him out there. Was ball ace, couldn't quite find him. Burgoyne, well, he's got under pressure here. Matty Dawes between his legs to ball ace. The umpire has paid a free kick here. Comes back to Dawes. Dawes over the top. The running Doreen couldn't quite get there. It's been touched before it goes out over the line. The Magpie supporters on that outer side aren't happy. And you can just sense the Magpies bench there.
Philippo, Carr and Vines on the bench for Port Adelaide.
David, we've sung the praises of the Norwood defence, but just having a look at their centre line in Obbs, Gallagher and James, over 100 possessions today. Absolutely magnificent stuff through that midfield.
Well, I guess they've re-established themselves as a premiership contender, the Redlegs. They came here today really needing to win. They'd only won just the 3 games, and they lost to South last week.
And more importantly, the 3 games that they won were all to other sides on the bottom of the ladder. So they hadn't really beat anyone above them of significant note, and this was the real litmus test for them, and they've come out with flying colours. It'd be just starting to feel pretty good at the moment.
Neville Roberts,
a little bit of relief in that expression, wasn't there?
Looking very satisfied, as he should. They've really got themselves back on track today. Carter, who's been one of the best players for Port Adelaide, releases Steed to Morgan, back to Steed. Along the grandstand wing it goes. Clayton has been one of their better players. He's been tough and hard at it all day. And I guess when you look through the best players, Brown and Burgoyne, Chalmers, Clayton, McGuinness and Carter, you're only finding, 7 players for Port Adelaide that really would feature amongst their best players, and Stephen Williams would be bitterly disappointed with 7 good efforts.
No question about that. Majority of their players been clearly beaten. He's tried to rotate them off the bench and whatnot, but just haven't been able to find a clean avenue to goal. Haven't been able to get on top in the midfield. The matchups haven't really worked. Fraser hasn't been out of control. Cotton and the likes of Cunningham and James have been able to do what they want all afternoon.
James at the moment sitting in the forward pocket without an opposition standing him. I cannot believe it. Cannot believe it. Archie is screaming at players to come back.
Actually, Troy Bond's man, he was 100 metres away from him.
At least 100 metres away.
As we go down to Michael Parsons. Michael, you've thought about your best. Have a go at it.
I've just got a fair few ticks on the Norwood column, but I'll just read them down as they're laid out in the budget. Dale Fleming at full back, I thought was absolutely fantastic. He has a sore hip at the moment, just a corky. Jared Cotton was excellent. Brett James was my best on ground. John Cunningham, Andrew Pascoe, Lachlan Bowman, Scott Bassett, and Glenn Sanford. I don't think he did win the taps, but a fantastic effort in ruck. On the other side of the page, David Brown was good. Chalmers, Mark Clayton, Phil McGuinness early, Stephen Carter, and maybe Corey Archie, even though he's probably had 5 or 6 goals kicked on him today.
Well, the only one we reckon you missed was Burgoyne, and that's probably a fair assessment of the Port Adelaide structure, Mike. But it makes it very interesting, doesn't it, as we go to next week's games and the Redlegs.
Also makes some interesting times for the state selectors too. I was talking to John Roberts at 3/4 time, and he's saying the team will change after this performance.
Yes, it will.
Bound takes off, heads up home. Half forward, ball's knocked down. Ball ace has time and space on his side, then panics and kicks the ball up. Where's Pascoe? Takes on Northeast, the big fella. Which way will it bounce? It bounces through for another behind to the Redlegs. They move on to 17-9, 111. a great afternoon for the Redlegs supporters.
Port and Central next week at Alberton, Nails. What an interesting clash that is.
I'll definitely be playing for top position once again. But there's some great contests next week right down the line. But we'll start next Friday night at 7:30 at Adelaide Oval. When the SA boys take on the WA West Ar side. We come down, Bowman again. Good work by Ashley at ground level. Brown gives the ball across to Mad Dog Morgan. Morgan up towards centre half forward. Good use of the body by Brown from behind. Damien Brown takes a good mark just outside of 50 as the sun sets on Norwood Oval. Well, their conversion rate this afternoon, 15 behinds, has been very costly. Good lead up forward by Brosnan. Just escaped from his play. Looked like Fleming or Bassett. He just takes his time now, Steve Brosnan, realising at the 27-minute mark a goal here would make him a little bit closer, but really the result's not going to change. As we see Brosnan now will walk in, will kick from 35. Very slow in his action. He's kicked it high, and I think the umpire again looks at it as we hear the final siren here. The goal was kicked there by Steve Brosnan. It puts the Magpies now on to 10 goals, 15-69. And Norwood 17-9, run out, very convincing winners on 111.
Well, that was a fantastic victory by Norwood. As we mentioned during the call, didn't have a passenger today. Right from the word go, they made their intent very, very clear that they were going to run hard and create options for their teammates. And we just see Pascoe there up forward. He was critical early, kicked 3 goals without a miss in that first quarter and really set it up. And I think to Norwood's credit, the thing about today is Port Adelaide did start to arrest a bit of a challenge there, but Norwood were quickly to jump back on it, got back into control, got the momentum going, and they were just clearly the much better side on the day. And look at Neville Roberts there as he limps off the ground. He looks like he's been through 4 quarters on the bench there today, but he would be absolutely delighted with that win. It's almost worth 4 points to the side, gives them a real opportunity
and they go
to
next
make
week
an impact on the 5.
to Glenelg, get Glenelg full of confidence.
Absolutely.
For the Monday game.
Set themselves up because the top 3 sides, Port Adelaide Centrals and the Eagles there, clearly in front. That is just a terrific team effort from Norwood.